So, we're halfway through Computex. It's day 3. How are you feeling?
Cheers.
Cheers. Seriously.
That's how I'm feeling about Computex.
Man, it is hot and it is big.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been a pretty intense show for us. Oh, the guys are doing an amazing job on the show floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're constantly rocking it. And they've been all over the place today again. And yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that we would start off with something a little bit different. Let's kick off with some of our thoughts on automotive. Because you had, on day 1, you had that great glass.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I originally tested it during the Auto Shanghai. It's called Augmented Vision. It's from Mini, which belongs to BMW. And they've developed a smart glass together with Qualcomm. After the Qualcomm press conference, I was able to see, or we were able to see the prototype of it, the platform that it's based on. It's based on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 805. A very, very interesting concept in terms of where smart glass can really exist, how they really work out, especially how vertical this market is for wearables. Because this is a very special purpose, and you're using smart glass for a limited time period while you're driving your car. Just to give you an idea how that works. So think about, well, first of all, by the way, the mini smart glass, the augmented vision, looks much better than the original prototype. It's a little bit more advanced. Imagine that you're wearing these glasses and you're looking at a poster for an event, for maybe a concert or a soccer match or whatever. And the smart glass are going to scan the information, and will immediately know if there are still tickets available. So if there's tickets available, you can buy them. It will then navigate you to your car. As soon as you're getting into the car, it connects to the car system and switches on 2 different modes now. First of all, the navigation is now all about car navigation. As soon as you're looking through the windshield, you get a very, very simplified UI. It was magnificent. Yeah, it was one of the best navigation, no, actually was the best UI that I saw in terms of navigation. And so it will basically navigate you to this event then. As soon as you're looking to the left, no, that's the left, that's the right, you will be able to look through the doors, because the sensors are tracking you and realizing the angle of your head, and then they're switching over to the cameras on the outer mirrors on the side. It's an amazing effect, and the way they did this is, yeah, it's very impressive. So we saw those smart glasses.
Yeah. And why don't we watch the video?
We should do that.
This Mobile Geeks video is powered by ASUS.
It is Sasha from Mobile Geeks. This is Computex 2015. Just came out of the Qualcomm press conference, and this is the so-called ODG R7. It might look a little bit familiar with you because this is basically the platform or the prototype that the Mini Augmented Vision is based on, which was the glass that Mini and BMW announced during the Auto Shanghai about 5 weeks ago. So this is a kind of smart glass with stereoscopic displays here, stereoscopic lenses, and I could test it during the Auto Shanghai, and trust me, this was pretty much the coolest experience I've had besides the Microsoft HoloLens, because this is a true AR glass, right? And the use case that the Mini designers together with Qualcomm made up in terms of navigation and this very, very simple UI that they're using for it was absolutely perfect. It shows you how good a smart glass could work in a vertical market if you're using a glass for a limited time period and for a very specific purpose, which is, with this one, driving. I'm not so sure about this prototype, especially I think it is a little bit overpowered with the Snapdragon 805 right now, because the version that I've tested at the Auto Shanghai, it actually got quite hot over here, because this is where the SoC is. Just to give you an idea what it can do. So just imagine you're going to wear these glasses and you're just going to walk by a poster of an event or for an event, maybe a concert here in Taipei, and it will immediately tell you if there are some tickets available. Then it will help you to navigate to your car, and then in your car it actually switches the mode into a navigation mode, and it will navigate you to the event. But what's even cooler is as soon as you're turning your head to the left and to the right, it basically switches over to the cameras that are attached to the mirrors on the side, and it gives you a kind of see-through the car. And that's pretty cool when you just want to park and when you just want to look around the corner. So this is the original prototype of the Mini Augmented Vision, the ODG R7. Really, really cool device. I absolutely liked what I saw during Auto Shanghai. It just tells you a little bit about how huge and how wide this portfolio of Qualcomm is, and with how many partner companies they're working on future projects. This is the ODG R7, prototype platform of the Mini Augmented Vision. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I'm still Sasha from Mobile Geeks.
So you know the reason why I wanted to kick off with that was right before Computex, I actually got to visit the Lenovo Design Center.
Yeah.
And I got to interview the lead designer, and I thought it was fascinating the way that he kind of drew parallels about designing laptops and smartphones and, you know, all-in-one PCs and cars, right? You know, that Lenovo kind of wanted to bring up this design element and design language from the car, where they're sound testing things, how the car doors, you know, sounds when it opens and closes, how the car sounds when you're driving it, to like how the keyboard, you know, sounds when, you know, you're typing on it. So I kind of thought it was really interesting, and to kind of get that behind the scenes look at the PC industry and kind of how there's this, you know, convergence of automotive and traditional PC technology, I thought was quite interesting. So why don't we listen to him and his very inspirational words. This Mobile Geeks video is powered by ASUS. So the building behind me may not look like much, but this is Lenovo's Design Center. So this is where all the magic happens. This Design Center creates 200 products a year for a consumer. So that's mice, bags, tablets, smartphones, all-in-ones. And now we're gonna get a sneak peek at where they're drawing their inspiration from.
Designers from automotive industries have an entirely different, I don't want to say entirely different, but they have a very different design mindset and approach. For them, it's really about how light reflects on, you know, on the structure or the size of the car. You know, how you, and that's the most important part. One learning from the car designers, the car industry, was design is not just, you know, about the light reflection and the form and the shape and the curves and the crease lines. They have designers, and they test the sound of how a car door closes. For us, it's the same. And do you want to have a keyboard that sounds like very plasticky and cheap? So we also like spend so much time, like the thin keyboards, again, you know, the best keyboards out there for a reason. Because so much time is being spent on identifying the best possible user experience. And yeah, I mean, that from automotive industry, there's a lot you can learn, right? How does this texture look in this light, for example, or this color versus being outdoors? Rainy day versus sunny day, right? Rainy day maybe it looks gray. So there's, again, you know, colors, the coating on this, again, Daniel is more the expert than I am. All of these little nuances and details are part of that design. So yeah, it's very broad field.
One other unexpected response was when I asked where you draw inspiration from, the response was disconnecting, right? To remove technology from your surroundings and to remember how it can be useful to you as a person and not how you're going to enable your technology. So you know that really funny cartoon about how you're thinking your smartphone's really helping you, but you're really a slave to your smartphone. So it was kind of cool to kind of return back to the human element of how we view our gadgets. So that was just a little bit of a taste of some of the stuff that I got to see in Lenovo's Design Center. Super privileged for going in. Not a lot of companies will allow you that kind of access. One of the things that Lenovo keeps driving home is that they own the stack. In their Design Center, they have injection molding, they have tooling machines that when they create something, they prototype it, execute it, and see if it works. Now, there's not a lot of companies who control the fab as well as the Design Center. So having that complete control and execution is one of the reasons why Lenovo is actually able to be so playful and to do bold colors for different types of geographies. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of companies can't do so many colors is that they have to put in orders to their manufacturers. And well, they have to put those orders in advance. And it's a huge risk to do a lot of a red or an orange laptop. What if it doesn't sell? But since Lenovo actually owns the fabs, they can decide that, well, that's selling really well. Quick, guys, let's make some more. And though they have to, do scheduling stuff, they're still able to pull off that kind of move, and there's not a lot of companies that can actually do that. So that was just a quick trip to Lenovo's Design Center in Beijing. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, why don't you go ahead and do that? And if you like this video, you should give us a big old thumbs up. I'm your host, Nicole Scott, for Mobile Geeks. Now, this wasn't the only crazy thing that I saw while I was in Beijing, and I'm going to force you guys to watch one more, just because this is something that you expected to see at Computex.
Yeah.
Right? The Magic View, the smartwatch with the
extra display.
With the extra display, which was actually the display from a glasses.
Okay.
Right? So they actually mounted a glass display onto the wrist, and then you lifted it up, and you could move in 360 and look at the inside of venues or the little movies, which was ridiculous because your arm got tired. Right? And actually, to be honest with you, this kind of crazy concept of how we're going to be interacting with our technology and gadgets in a new way is something I actually expected to see here.
Yeah.
So let's check out this video, because this is one of those crazy moments where you're like, Computex. But it wasn't Computex. Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks. I'm here at Lenovo Tech World, and I'm checking out a brand new prototype device called the Magic View. This Mobile Geeks video is powered by Asus. So the device itself is just a prototype. It's got a touch screen, a very simple interface where you can have Street View. It has GPS. It also has a second display. So this display is actually a wide VGA display, which was previously used in a wearable glass technology. So this is actually a repurposing of something that we've seen before on a different type of wearable tech. Now, this has been in the works with Lenovo for quite some time. The device itself is actually fairly thick, and it has a button on the right-hand side. And I actually found a silver version that was charging. So right on the back of the display is where you have the charging port. Alright, so let's take a look at the interface of the smartwatch. So we just have a clock here, we just tap on it, and then we can access the menu. So let's choose Snapseed, and then this is a photo of a party. So 2 fingers down, sends the image right there, and then you can see what it was like at the party. So if I pull this back up, I can just go back, and then we're going to hit onto Street View. So here we've got the bird's nest. I'm going to pull down, and then it's going to send the image right to my wrist. So I can see it. Can you guys see it? I put Zenfone 2 up to the little display to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. Now, why don't we take a look at the Forbidden Palace? Totally love visiting this place every time I come to Beijing. So, 2 fingers down, sending the little video to my wrist, and let's take a look at this. Wow. All right, and I can just turn around in 360 degrees. Look down and look up. privacy 100% protected. Now here's another one, Pearl of the Orient. Send this down to my wrist, and then you can see there we're just spinning around looking at the skyline of Shanghai. And when we're done, we just pull up again, and then we can just head right back here. Now, of course, here is sports news. There you go. So there's all the different games that we can look at. So I pull this up. I just pull down. Sends the news to my wrist. I just hold it up to my eye, and then I can just scroll along and look at the different pictures from the game. Totally natural. But a really interesting concept. What do you guys think? So this was just a quick look at Lenovo's Magic View. Now this is a prototype device. It's not being released to the public. They want developers to get, their head around the concept of developing for a dual screen wearable. So Nicole Scott here for Mobile Geeks at Lenovo Tech World here in Beijing. If you want to see more of this kind of cool stuff, why don't you subscribe to our channel? I'm your host, Nicole Scott for Mobile Geeks. Nicole Scott here for Mobile Geeks. I'm at Lenovo Tech World here in Beijing, and I'm going to be showing you a brand new concept wearable reference design from Lenovo. It's a shoe, it's got some lights, but it's a lot more than that. This Mobile Geeks video is powered by ASUS. So what we have here is the sole of a shoe. This is where the, smart component would go in. And then this is an example of how you would charge it. This is a wireless charging pad. And here we have the completed product. So you can use an app to figure out if the kind of shoe that you have is the right kind of shoe for your activity, what your health and fitness level is. And of course, through big data and the creation of community, you can actually make friends, maybe even date somebody. Now, one of the other concepts that we have about the shoe is the idea that it has GPS. So, of course, Runtastic and all of these other apps allow you to track your movements as you go around, but this can actually maybe vibrate and put up a pattern when you get close to somebody that you've been talking to on a social network, or maybe you want to allow your parent to track your child or your wife to track your husband or something like this. So this is just a kind of proof of concept design from Lenovo. I'm Nicole Scott here at Lenovo Tech World in Beijing for Mobile Geeks.
Each and every year during Computex here, we also see some platforms that are a little bit, I would say, different, unique.
Gems, diamonds in the rough.
We've already had, back in the days, we've had netbooks with 2 displays. Roland found a platform which is a tablet with 2 displays. So, what does it mean, a tablet with 2 displays?
Yeah.
Just get goddamn 2 tablets.
Yeah.
And there you have your 2 displays. It also comes with a docking station. And you know what? It costs $3,500. So I think we should check this out.
Hey, I'm Roland with Mobile Geeks right here at Computex 2015. And as you can see, we have a very special device right here because this is the ASIL WinWings IS-1, which is a dual screen laptop with a hinge right here in the middle. So it's not vertically, it's got a vertical hinge in this case, and you have fans in the middle, and you can use all these 2 displays all on its own. So it's not really a laptop, but the screens dock into this docking station, which is basically just a keyboard, a bunch of weights, the trackpad, and a bunch of ports, and that is pretty much it. Under the hood in these displays is a Intel Core i7-4510 quad-core SoC that is supposed to be pretty powerful. It's one of the highest end SoCs that's offered or was offered in the Intel Haswell family. They're switching to Intel Skylake later this year to keep it updated. It runs at up to 2 gigahertz and it switches and goes up to, I think, 3.4 gigahertz on the Turbo Boost in this case. There is up to 16 gigabytes of RAM in this and up to 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. The screens are 15.6 inch screens and they are TN panels, but they're pretty good TN panels, so the viewing angles are pretty much alright. You will be using this not for graphics because the resolution is only at 1366 by 768. They might go higher up in the resolution in the future,
with a more capable graphics part. Right now they're stuck at this 1366 by 768, and what they want to do with it is basically they want to offer a professional device that is mainly geared at people who want to, for example, edit audio stuff. So these support 10 finger multi-touch, so you can basically use a bunch of sliders at once for regulating audio in this case. It's running the Windows Insider Preview build 174, which has been released a couple of weeks ago. And there's still a bunch of bugs concerning the drivers, but as you can see, you have these two taskbars on here. So it's definitely powering both displays in this case. The docking station is removable, so if you want to, you can just take this off and walk away with it. And you can fold this down to transport the whole thing. In the docking station, there's only a keyboard and the trackpad right here. The whole weight of only the tablets is 10.53 pounds. That's just under 5 kilograms. And if you want, you can just fold these two together to carry them around if you want to. And let's just take a quick look at the ports here on the side, because these are the only ports on the left of this device. You have two speakers right here, so if you folded it out, you have stereo sound from both sides. And you'll have the power button right here. It's in sleep mode right now. That's why the power button is lit up. The Windows button is right here, so the Windows logos on the front aren't really capacitive. There's a micro HDMI out right here, plus two USB 3.0 ports, your headset jack right there, and a FireWire out, which is to show that this is geared towards audio people in this case. And we have the power plug right there. Let me put the tablet itself to the side for a second so we can take a look at the docking station. To transport it, you can just fold this down. On the bottom of the tablet, there's also these three connectors right here. These are just for holding the device in place when it's docked. In the middle is the data port for the connection to the tablet itself. The keyboard is pretty nicely spaced. It even has a numpad on it over here on the side. This is still a prototype, so there's a bunch of problems with it that makes the keyboard flex, for example. There's 4 different colors, so you don't have to go with this rosé red version. There's a huge trackpad down here that also feels pretty nice, and yeah, it has a definitely pretty good click to it, although those mouse buttons are not separated on here. For transportation, this folds down, and on the back you get an Ethernet connector, it's actually 3 USB 2.0 ports, and that's pretty much it. I don't think there's a battery in the base. I haven't asked them yet, and I don't think there is. Those 10.5 pounds are without the keyboard, I think, because the tablet itself feels as though it's that heavy on its own. Let me just try and put this back together. It's kind of hard to handle as the thing is just massive right here. And try and find the right spot to actually make it fit. And let's turn it back on. So you can take another look at that Windows 10 build running on here. So this has just been a quick look at the WinWings YS7 from the Chinese company called ASIL here at Computex 2015. I was Ron with Mobile Geeks checking out this pretty crazy device over here, and I'll see you later. Hey, I'm Roland right here at Computex 2015 with Mobile Geeks, and we're taking a look at the first notebook or gaming notebook that has the eye tracking integrated that Intel-backed company Tobii is developing, and they're finally going to release a gaming notebook that has this bar down here which contains the eye tracking module that is going to make your gaming kind of more intuitive, and also is going to help you on Windows. And we'll just get a quick demo of it here at Computex now.
Yeah, hi. So let me show you the first step. What we can do with eye tracking here is basically that we start with logging into Windows. So to log in to Windows, I have to do 3 things actually, and it's like looking at the astronaut, looking at the basketball on the right side, and look at the telephone. So then Windows actually can log in automatically. However, there's one thing you have to do with an eye tracker, and that's the very first time you use it or you install it, you have to calibrate it for yourself. And that's what I'm going to do now, so I just follow the instructions on the screen and look at the dot. During the calibration, you can easily just move your head and you can blink if you want to. There's no need to feel stressed or do anything different than you usually would do when looking at the screen. So that was pretty much it already. So let me show you a little bit about how to use eye tracking in games, and here we have an example of showing you Assassin's Creed Rogue from Ubisoft. And what Ubisoft did is they implemented eye tracking in a way to control actually the camera. So we call it the infinited screen, and what you can do is if you look, for instance, on the left side of the screen, the camera will move. If you look on the right side of the screen, the camera will move. If you look up and down, the camera will move accordingly as well. So what you can do, or what happens basically, is that you become one with the game. So eye tracking can actually make a connection between the game and the actual game in front of it. However, as soon as I start running, I can actually as well navigate the direction where my character is running to. So it's not only about that I control the camera as I do it now, I can also actually use it to navigate the character. So there's no need actually to use the mouse. You can still use the mouse, and as soon as you use the mouse, the eye tracking will be disabled. So it's always the hands which actually do the final decision, but you can use your eyes to go into the game, control it, etc. If I look away from the screen for about 2 seconds, the eye tracker will actually recognize that I'm not in front of the screen anymore, and the game will actually pause. So now you can see the game is paused. As soon as I go back in front of the computer again, the game will continue. Another functionality actually Ubisoft has added to Assassin's Creed Rogue is that you have an aiming function. So if you have, for instance, wearing a pistol, you can use it to aim towards your enemies. Unfortunately, we have to play until level 3, so right now I cannot show it. Anyway, so the good thing about Assassin's Creed Rogue, for instance, is also it is available for everyone on the internet, and there's nothing you actually have to do. You only need an eye tracker and Assassin's Creed Rogue, so you're very welcome to try it out yourself as well at home.
Alright, so that was just a quick look at the Tobii iX eye tracking finally integrated into a product that is coming to market, which is the GT72 in a special model here from MSI. I was Ron with Mobile Geeks at Computex 2015, and if you like what we do on our channel, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and we'll see you later.
Hi, this is Daniel from Mobile Geeks here at Computex 2015, and we have here the Liquid X2 smartphone from Acer. It has been presented in New York some months ago, but we couldn't test it out, and finally we can have our hands on here. So this is a 13 megapixel camera on top here. The same camera is also on the back. It has a mono LED flash. We have it over here as well. And it's a nice 5.5 inch device. It has a nice IPS screen with beautiful viewing angles, very nice colors I might say, but it's not very crisp. It's just 1280 by 800 pixels. So you can definitely see pixels, but then it's nicely laminated, it doesn't have too much glare, and it's quite bright as well. So this device is running the Qualcomm Snapdragon 615 CPU, which also offers LTE, and 8 cores, 64-bit. We don't have information about the RAM, but this is running Android 5.1 pretty smoothly. Just look at this is super smooth. So let's have a quick tour. We have nothing on the left side. We have the power button and the volume rocker over here. There's a speaker on the bottom, also a microphone and a micro USB port, and there's a 3.5mm jack and a second microphone on the top. So this backside is made out of glass, and you can also remove it. Let's see if we can do it right here. It also says DTS HD Premium Sound, so it has some nice speakers as well. So let's try to remove this backside. Nope, it's not possible right now. Probably they just glued it on. So there is a huge 4,000 milliamp hour battery inside there, which probably should take you through 2 to 3 days, because the display is not that high resolution. So probably more than enough for 2 days. So let's try out this selfie camera. So let's focus on on my camera and then focus on me. And as you can see, the background defocus is pretty nice because this is a f1.8 lens. So if we focus on the camera, you see the background is nicely blurred. And if we zoom in here, this is pretty nice quality for a selfie camera, I must say. Pretty nice selfie phone. Yeah, I took some more photos as well. So yeah, pretty nice device. There's no information on pricing nor availability, but I think it should come out soon for a price of about $250 US, maybe $299, not more, definitely not more. Pretty nice device here at Computex 2015. This is Acer Liquid X2. I'm Daniel from Mobile Geeks. Thanks for watching.
The meshing of music, fashion, biology, science, technology. For me, it's a very modern way of working. I like the way the lines are blurred when you work with projects like this. I mean, is it art? Is it fashion? Is it science? Does it have to be in a gallery? I don't think so.
So we're designing and constructing a garment for Heart People's single for Rachel to wear in a film clip that gets shot in the desert north of Adelaide. I'm responsible for integrating and working with the Intel Edison chip to create a garment that expresses the breath of a musician through light.
The Intel chip hooks into the Wi-Fi, so when Rachel performs, she can control the lights.
You know, when we were working the song Blue Star, we talked about it feeling like another otherworldly place, like maybe some other planet. So I think the suit, the idea, like a very, very intensely man-made element combining, fusing with just the most natural element of the breath. That was really interesting.
When I first got my hands on an Edison chip, I was surprised at how small it was.
The Intel Edison chip it's a postage stamp sized chip with built-in wireless, so you can take it with you wherever you go. It's designed for inventors, entrepreneurs and potentially for consumers.
Blue Star. What fascinated me about this kind of wearable tech stuff is that something completely man-made could at once be supernatural and so natural. It had both of those elements, but at the same time, technically speaking, it was this man-made, device.
The size of the chip is just getting smaller and smaller and more powerful and more accessible. So I think, that's great to enhance creativity wherever you might be.
True creativity, I guess, is pushing yourself and pushing your art form and being able to output your ideas. And often, like when you're being truly creative, you've never seen them before. And I think technology is becoming more and more what facilitates that growth. When we can't do something that it hasn't done before, we look to technology to figure out how it can happen next.
Being able to work with technology is being able to see its possibilities, and it might not be what it says on the box. More and more we're able to do it as technology will continue to grow, and it's important that we play with it. As a template for art, science and technology, the collaboration will always be there and blur more and muddy more, and who knows what will happen in 2 years' time from now.
Hey, I'm Roland with Mobile Geeks right here at Computex 2015, and this is kind of an interesting device here at the Microsoft keynote. It's supposed to run Windows 10, but they didn't really say anything about what it actually is and what it does, but it's called the Quanta CompuPlug. Quanta is the well-known Taiwanese ODM that is actually making a lot of devices that you are using at home. For example, tons of HP and Dell notebooks are coming from that company, and as you can see, this looks almost just like a standard power brick. So it's got those two pins on the front. You can actually plug this into a power outlet. It's got a few vents on the top, and it's pretty much sized like one of those old Nokia power bricks that you might know from back in the days. But what's special about it is it has these actual outlets in there. So you have a full-size HDMI port right there and two USB 3 ports. So my guess would be this will be based on the Intel Atom Z3735F quad-core SoC, and will be running probably one of those super tiny compute stick mainboards, my guess would be. So that's all you need to run a PC nowadays. So this is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and that's just been Rolling with Mobile Geeks here at Computex 2015. If you like what we do on our channel, give us a thumbs up, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and we'll see you later.
This Mobile Geeks video is powered by ASUS.
Hey, I'm Roland with Mobile Geeks right here at Microsoft keynote at Computex 2015. And what we have right here is a new satellite 2-in-1 device from Toshiba, actually, and it seems to be a 13.3-inch device that has a 4K screen in this case. Let's just take a quick look at the screen resolution, and we're talking about a 4K screen right here. Again, this whole thing is fully touch enabled. It has a Skylake SoC under the hood that's running at 2.3 gigahertz in this case. I'm guessing it's a dual-core chip. And let's just take a quick tour around. We have up here the RealSense 3D camera from our lovely guys from Intel. We have a huge trackpad that's the same style as usual on the Toshiba devices. And let's just go over to the right. We here have a power button right there, the power indicator, a SD card slot right there, USB slot. It's going to be on the booth, dude. We have a volume rocker right there and a search button, interestingly. That's probably for Cortana over there. Then we have the power plug, full-size HDMI port, another USB port, and this is a USB Type-C connector on here. The whole thing also folds down into tent and tablet modes, so you can just use it as usual. So here you go. That's the new Windows 10 based 2-in-1 device from Toshiba.
For Mobile Geeks.com here at Computex 2015, and we are at the ASUS booth, and this is the brand new E1Z Android projector. This is a very small device which can project images from your Android smartphone or tablet. So if we have a look over here, what kind of connectors do we have? Of course, power on and off switch. This is the micro USB port, an output 5 volt 1 amp. I will talk about it in a second. And then we have a DC in for the power. So what you do is you get this micro USB to micro USB cable, and then you can plug it in into your projector, and the other side is the tablet or a smartphone with Android. And as you can see here, it just works fine. And it will project an up to 100-inch huge image on the wall. If I turn off my projector so you can see something, here it is on the left side. And that's the tablet, so if I swipe through the tablet, you can see this is a pretty nice quality. The resolution is 800 by 480 pixels, so it's not very high resolution, it's not HD, but this is definitely fine for watching a short movie with some friends. Yeah, looks pretty nice. So if we have a look at this little device once again, we can see here we have some vents on the left and on the right. And this is a focus ring, and this is pretty nice, so you can, the lens is always protected. So on the back, I've shown it to you already, this is an output for your smartphone. So what's built inside here is a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, which will last you 3 hours of video playback, but also if you don't need it, you can just plug in your smartphone over here into this standard USB port and charge your smartphone with this device. So this is a 2-in-1 solution, and it will be about $199 to $249 US when it comes out later this year. So yeah, this is the E1Z projector for Android devices here at Computex 2015. Thanks for watching.
Hey, I'm Roland with Mobile Geeks right here at Computex 2015, and yeah, this is something pretty special after we've heard a bunch of rumors, and Intel has also been saying it themselves. I think there's at least been this roadmap going around that said they were going to put the Intel Core M into stick PCs or HDMI stick PCs. So this is one of those examples, because this is the so-called Quanta NH6. This thing runs the Intel Core 5Y10. I think it's the Y10A, which runs at 800 megahertz and goes up to 2 gigahertz. So it's a pretty powerful chip, actually, that usually goes into ultrabooks like the Lenovo Yoga 3, for example, or Yoga 3 Pro in this case. And it's got a dual-core SoC in there. The big advantage of these devices is they will be able to address more than 4 gigabytes of RAM, probably going up to 8, maybe even more, depending on the chip that you put in here. It's still passively cool. I can tell you that under this hood, on one of the sides, is a massive heat spreader. I don't know if you can maybe see it through those grills. There's some heat spreader that goes all the way from one side of the device to the other. They probably had to make it a little bigger to dissipate those up to 6 watts of heat that the Core M produces. Other than that, we have probably an M2 SSD under the hood that will be much faster than your eMMC-based solutions that have been used on Bay Trail-based devices. And let's just take a quick tour around. We have the HDMI port for sure. On the side, we have a bunch of vents. It's basically all vents, this device. And over here, we have a micro SD card slot that you can just use to extend the storage that's integrated right here. Nothing on the other side. On this side, we have the micro USB port. Right next to that, this white thing right here is actually a button that also lights up, so that's just the power button. And on the back, it's getting even more interesting because we have a USB 3.0 port right there, and this is your USB Type-C. So you can definitely plug this in using those new cables coming out very, very soon. This will probably never make it to market in this form. This is just a prototype, but it is a reference design from Quanta, which is a huge contract manufacturer doing devices for HP, Dell, and pretty much everybody else on this planet. Mostly notebooks, but they've changed to smaller devices, just like this one. But there will be devices based on this reference design coming out later this year, maybe next year. We'll see. Let's see what Intel does there. This has just been a very quick look at the Quanta NH6 here at the Intel booth at Computex 2015. I was Roland from Mobile Geeks checking out this device. And if you like what we do on our channel, give us a thumbs up, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and I will see you later.
Hi, this is Daniel from MobileGeeks.com here at Computex 2015, and we are having a look at the Mosby pen from UFRO. This pen is quite special because it can actually measure the colors in our real world and bring them to this connected tablet. It can be an Android tablet, but there is also an app for the iPad as well. So let's first have a quick tour around this pen. Here's the sensor, the color sensor, which measures the actual color. We'll try it out in a second. There are also some buttons here. This is a reset button. We have a button to choose the colors, so we can scroll through the colors we already scanned, as you can see here. And of course, we can choose the colors by just putting the pen on the colored surface. So right now, this is blue. As you can see here, it's connected via Bluetooth. So the pen says, okay, that color is green, and here we have green. So now I can just draw in the color I just scanned, and I think this is pretty amazing. For children, for small children, but also for adult children, I think this is pretty cool. So you don't have to pick the color in the color picker, you just go to the surface you want to scan, for example, this mouse, and here we go. Here's black color. So this is the Mosby pen here from UFRO at Computex 2015. I'm Daniel from Mobile Geeks. Thanks for watching. Remember the last time your battery was dead? Well, I've got a solution for you. This is the biggest power bank in the world, probably. This weighs 17 kilos and has enough power to power up your notebook for 100 hours. So this is probably enough to power up your smartphone for 10,000s of time. So this is a huge lithium polymer battery, and we have two standard size plugs over here. We also have two USB plugs with 2 amp output over there, and also some LEDs and an on and off button. And if I want to lift it up, this is pretty heavy. Oh, it's almost impossible. That's why the wheels on the bottom of this huge suitcase are actually quite useful. So this is probably the biggest power bank in the world here at Computex 2015. I'm Daniel from Mobile Geeks. Thanks for watching.
I mean, that's kind of the joy of Computex, is seeing these random Chinese companies come up with all of this really unique stuff, and to kind of go, you know what? Somebody's gonna want that. Definitely, somebody's gonna want that.
Yeah, I think this will be the only one that ever got made. So, Jesus.
The only one. So, you know, with all of these Chinese gadgets on the show floor and all these Shenzhen manufacturers, I actually got to sit down with Julie Campanelli from Intel So she actually works in, I can't pronounce her last name.
You were kind of, I said it.
Didn't want to screw it up. Sometimes last names are long. Anyways, and she actually knows quite a lot about the Chinese ecosystem or the Asian ecosystem and what's happening with all of these budget manufacturers, all of these Shenzhen manufacturers, and what they're looking to create in kind of this low end, because Intel, with their Sophia lineup and their Rothschild partnership, is actually starting to play in this area. And the other thing that I kind of found interesting about this show is I gave Intel quite a hard time at IDF a few months ago when I said, you know what,
in Shenzhen,
right? When I said, well, you know, Rockchip isn't exactly a company known for its quality, and you guys are partnering with them, like, what's this going to mean for your future platforms? And then at the Qualcomm event, Qualcomm announced a partnership with Allwinner, right, which is the exact same thing, right? And so I actually went to myself, did Qualcomm just make a move to play catch up with Intel on mobile? Wait, what? So Julie actually talked about something that I didn't really know that much about.
Yeah.
So I found it really interesting because she talked about the white box smartphone makers. I mean, back in the day, we would talk about the white box tablet makers and how it was like maybe a quarter of the industry in terms of shipping volumes, and just by nature you can't really, at least, right? And but just by nature you can't really follow like what's happening in this sector because it's all so hush-hush. But she actually had some really good insights into where Intel's coming in on the low end with the Sophia 3GR and these white box smartphone makers.
Yeah, we should check it out.
Hey, I'm Roland with Mobile Geeks, and we have the Asus ZenPad 7.0 right here. That is the new super low entry level tablet from Asus. But you definitely get a lot for your money because this thing will probably start retailing from around $100, maybe 130, and it will also be available in an LTE optional version in this case. As you can see, we are running Android 5.0.2 Lollipop combined with the Asus UI. Let's just check it out quickly. We have Android 5.0.2 right here, so it's definitely Lollipop. IPS screen, 1280 by 800 in this case, and under the hood are the new Intel X3 SoCs, so that is the C3200 and the C3220, because the LTE model has also an integrated modem on the chip itself, so that's the ominous Sophia SoCs from Intel. That's also the reason why they have the brightness and distance sensors on the front right here, so you can definitely use this for calls and yeah, just replace your smartphone with it. We have a VGA camera on the low-end model and a 2-megapixel camera on the front of the higher-end model. That's the LTE version probably. A single speaker on the front. Up here is your headset jack right there. Under the hood we have 1 gig of RAM on the base model and 2 gigs of RAM on the LTE version. Again, 8 gigabytes of internal flash storage on the lower end one, and the LTE model has 16 gigs of flash storage. The power button is right here on the side, plus the volume marker right there. You can change these back covers and you can add different accessories. So there is a clip-on cover, flip cover style. For the 8-inch model, there's also a speaker cover. The micro SD card slot is under here, including the micro SIM card slot for your LTE SIM in this case. The whole thing is 8.7 millimeters thick and weighs in at just 272 grams, so it's definitely super light. My guess would be that the battery is around 3,000 milliamp hours. In this case, we'll see how long that one lasts. Other than that, that is pretty much it, and we will see how much Asus is going to charge for the ZenPad series, starting with the ZenPad 7.0 here at Computex 2015. I was Roland with Mobile Geeks, and if you like what we do on our channel, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and we will see you later.
Well, we don't have, as much visibility because of the way that the channel works.
Yeah.
But certainly when you listen to customers talk and you listen to service providers talk, it was definitely, in emerging markets. But in some cases, I've definitely heard from some of our ODM partners, places that you don't consider to be an emerging market necessarily, like Indonesia, where, you have some stronger brands in places like Indonesia that aren't necessarily global brands, but they are, very strong. They tend to buy phones and even that phablet category from the channel, and they rebrand, and so they would fall into a category like that. Certainly, again, you'll see more vertical players too, that are coming up, especially in that phablet category. Education, especially, who buys a lot through the channel, and they'll either brand it based on an educational institution, and they'll have all kinds of opportunity to, say, custom services on these devices too. You know, again, my banking example, when you dig into those examples, I found examples in Western Europe, I found examples in the United States, I found examples in emerging markets where they might want to offer a very dedicated identity service from a government perspective, and the cost of the devices are coming down enough that, you know, for a full suite of services, or like a bank, to be able to say, you know, we're going to give you this for our secure banking, and this is what you're going to use. You'll definitely see more demands on the channel for products like that, or local OEMs as well.
This Mobile Geeks video is powered by ASUS.
Hey, I'm Roland with Mobile Geeks right here at Computex 2015, and what we have right here is basically the real first Windows 10 smartphone coming to market, because the other day we showed you the Madosma from Japan, which is first launching with Windows Phone 8.1 and then later on switching to Windows 10. It was advertised by Microsoft at their own developer show in Japan as running with Windows 10, but it's actually coming to market with Windows Phone 8.1. This right here is the Cherry Mobile Alpha Prime, and this is for real. It's been announced to be coming with Windows 10, and it is definitely running Windows 10 here on the show floor. It's a low-end device, it's super low price. My guess would be just under 100 euros, maybe 100 bucks, maybe even less. So it's kind of probably going to be around $79, for example. Cherry Mobile is from the Philippines, so you're not going to see this in the US, but it's an OEM device that might be launching through other Microsoft partners in other countries. This right here is a 4-inch screen. We have an IPS panel, so the viewing angles are definitely decent. No color reproduction problems when I'm tilting the device. The resolution is at 800 by 480, so it's WVGA on this device. Under the hood is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 210, so that's the new low-end SoC that's even below the Snapdragon 400 that's been used on many Windows phones. It's a quad-core SoC running at up to 1.1 gigahertz, and it includes an Adreno 304 graphics part. It has an LTE modem integrated for speeds of up to 150 megabits a second on the downstream, and performance-wise it's coping pretty well actually. I mean, if you look at this scrolling stuff, everything seems to work pretty nice. We are running Windows 10 mobile build 10075. Let me just head into this Microsoft app and check out what it says in the About screen. So there you have it. It's running build 175. Definitely a pretty much up-to-date build. We're at build on April 29. On the Cherry Mobile Alpha Prime, you get 1 gig of RAM and 8 gigabytes of flash storage. There is a micro SD card slot under this cover back here that you can take off. I'm not going to take it off because it's all dongled up, and the Microsoft alarm system is pretty tight. There is dual SIM card slots under here. I think they're full-size SIM card slots, and a micro SD card slot, as I said, for storage extension. The battery in here can be exchanged, and it's a 1,500 milliamp hour battery in this case. We have a single speaker at the bottom, and the whole thing is made out of plastic. This up here is a 5 megapixel camera, including a single LED flash, and on the top you get the micro USB port plus your 3.5 millimeter headset jack. This is not a Type-C port, it's just a standard micro USB. On the side, this is the volume rocker, and the click point is actually very nice. It feels pretty high quality in this case. We have the power button underneath that, also working pretty well. Nothing on the bottom. This is the space where you can just tear off the cover right here. There you go. And you get some capacitive touch buttons on the front on this device, so these are not going to go away with Windows 10 Mobile. On the left, there is pretty much nothing. The whole thing weighs in at 130 grams, and my guess would be that the thickness is at around or just under or just over 10 millimeters. So this has been just a very, very quick first look at the very first Windows 10 smartphone here at Computex 2015.
smartphones. It's a weird name.
It's
I'm
a
getting
weird
that,
name,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what it is. So just to give you a little idea, if you want to build, oh my God,
we have some.
Yeah.
Like these guys, Wisdom.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Oh, this is my favorite.
There's nothing in here. There's nothing in
Anal.
here. Get me the tablet with the Mobile Geek sticker.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
This one.
That's a typical one.
Oh, there it is.
So, I mean, like this one with the Mobile Geek sticker. To buy a tablet like this in Shenzhen is like $40 US. Like you would get a quad-core one with maybe a 720p display, and you know what? Nothing special, but once again, dead cheap. And you can just head over to Shenzhen. They will give you a catalog, and they're gonna ask you, okay, so what kind of display do you need? What kind of SoC do you want? How much RAM? How much internal storage? Any features? What kind of version of Android on it? And what's your destination? What's your final shipping port? So we know where to send the container to. And from this talk until shipping, right, it takes them 30 days to do that. Taiwanese industry in general needs about 3 months. Then they're going to run the first prototype series, right? Because they have to set up the production line for it and all of this. Those guys in Shenzhen, they're a bit crazy, right? And then they're building this so cheap. To give you more of an idea about how Taiwan is positioned, what Computex actually means, how this ecosystem looks like, we've talked to our friend Handel Kim. Have a little bit of an interview, gives you more of a background story about Computex and Taiwan in general.
Hi, my name is Handel Kim. I'm Director Asia Pacific at Teradici Corporation, and we are a Vancouver, Canada-based cloud computing company. We are the inventors and custodians of the PCOIP protocol, which stands for Pervasive Computing over IP or Personal Computing over IP or whatever you feel like. And essentially we pioneered the zero client space. And the zero client, as opposed to a thin client, is something that has absolutely no operating system on the terminal side or on the client side, but has tremendously awesome performance due to the fact that the PCOIP protocol is optimized for allowing any host to send pixel data to any client. And we also have software clients and mobile clients that we also offer to our customers. Well, I mean, Taiwan is the nerve center of hardware and increasingly systems and software. We have several customers who are very large OEMs, and they don't build in the United States or in Europe, obviously. They build here, and they leverage the supply chain on the ODM side because the people here and the manufacturers here can do it faster. And yeah, I mean, Computex kind of, I would say, I mean, I've been to a lot of CES and back at Computex back in the day. Computex is really kind of moved into its own. I started coming to Computex in the mid-90s, late 90s, and at that time the supply chain was just starting to grow. ASUS was not a brand yet. Honhai was still doing bare bones. All of these companies were just starting to emerge, and the model hadn't really taken hold yet. And yet people saw that there was a tremendous potential here. And I remember back in those days, if you talked about contract manufacturing, then you're talking about Selectron, you're talking about Celestica, you're talking about Flex, and these guys really don't matter anymore, right? I mean, they're either out of business or have been merged together and are way down, in terms of market cap and size and revenues. And so as a result, Computex in the late 90s, early 2000s, really came into its own when you still had the Compaq, you still had the Dell, you still had the HPs, and you also had other PC makers that were still fighting for dominance, and before the resurgence of Apple. And then when Compaq and HP merged, I mean, I remember Barry Lam from Quanta was saying, I think it was in 2003 or 2004, he said, look, our top line revenues doubled, but our profits halved. I need to get out of this business, right? There's an old story where the CEO of Canon now, I think his last name is Cho, right? He's like the grandson of the founder or whatever. And one of his early jobs was to go to New York and run Canon USA in the 70s. And they're based in New Jersey. And there was a person from the IRS, and they got audited because they thought it was extremely weird that Canon USA was making, you know, like 100 million in revenues, but was reporting, you know, basically pennies of profit. So, you know, Cho, as the general manager, had to work with the auditor from the IRS. And after the audit, the IRS auditor said, well, it seems true that you didn't make a lot of money based on this money, based on the revenue. So let me give you a little piece of advice. Next time, take that $100 million and just stick it in a bank. You'll earn way more return than running a company, which is one of the reasons why Canon is obsessively focused about profits as opposed to many other Japanese companies. So when you think about it from that context, right, you know, what Barry Lam was saying was tremendously true. You had 3 major vendors that turned into 2, and of course the ODMs get squeezed, right? But that also caused innovation, right? So that's almost like an extinction level event where all of a sudden there are only 2 big customers now, right, instead of 3. And it's true that all the OEMs play off the ODMs against one another, but it's a two-way street. I mean, the people here in Taiwan have gotten a lot more sophisticated and a lot more knowledgeable in the sense that, look, you know, there are times where ODMs are basically dictating terms to OEMs, right? Or that OEMs are now offloading sort of this idea of like, well, what have you got to show us, right? It's less of the top-down sort of hierarchical thing where, hey, look, contract manufacturer, this is our idea, you go and just do it, right? And we're going to make sure that every single feature is ticked off, and we're going to spend a lot of resources on this, to the extent where more and more is being outsourced to the ODM, to the extent where really in a lot of cases you essentially have brands, and that's all they are. You know, products are completely designed, developed, tested by local vendors here. So I think, you know, we have to divide the concept of startup and entrepreneurship into like hardware and software. And when I mean hardware, I mean like traditional hardware. So if you wanted to start a company that was going to make gyros, right? Or you start up a company that's going to make cover glass or whatever, or some kind of like interesting camera technology. In my opinion, that's real technology, right? What I define by real technology is you try and do it, and there's a real chance that technically it won't work, right? You lay out a chip, and you get the mask, and then it's like, oh crap, it doesn't perform. Like there's a risk of failure, right? You're trying to change the way, you know, pixels capture light, and it doesn't work. That for me is real technology, right? And so that kind of real technology, which is hard physical problems and mechanical and engineering problems, in Taiwan, it's a good place to start because one, you've got a lot of people who can do stuff like that. The technical ability is very high. And there are a lot of people who understand enough about technology, who have money, who can help you out, right? You know, but it's very different in Taiwan if you want to start up a company. And I know this from personal experience and from friends and family of mine who've also tried to start up companies that have come out of ITRI or various other organizations. And one is that the entrepreneur here in Taiwan has to put up their own money, right? It's not like you go out and get a term sheet for $10 million and you haven't put up anything, right? VCs in Taiwan are very like, look, if you have no skin in the game, then why the hell should we trust you, right? It's a very different sort of like mentality. Then you look at sort of like, you know, the entrepreneurs as, you know, celebrated by TechCrunch and, you know, and Pando and all of that, you know, that cult of the entrepreneur stuff. Yeah. And that doesn't really happen in Taiwan. I mean, there are people here who are trying to be entrepreneurs of that nature, but there's no funding infrastructure here that's in any way similar to what's going on in, you know, in California or New York or anywhere else, right? But the good news is that you don't need a lot of money to be the next Uber. You don't need a lot of money to be the next, you know, Instagram, right? All you need are some good developers. It's trivial now to get a license to publish an iOS app and an Android app, and boom, you've got access to hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions, of users, you know, through these app stores. So your ability to distribute or to have distribution right out of the gate and reach a large number of people, basically through the creation of like one product into 2, you know, operating systems is tremendous. Never had the ability to reach so many customers in such a short period of time in such an efficient way ever, right? So if you're a software guy and you're building apps and you want to do the next Candy Crush or whatever, man, there's no reason why you should be taking venture, right? Not at all. I mean, if you can't afford to pay yourself for 3 months, with some other, developer, and take a few months out of your life, or do it on the side, or validate with an MVP, and then get it out. I mean, then you don't deserve to be an entrepreneur, right? So you don't really need venture for that. So the question is once you've got that MVP, and let's say you start getting that traction, then where do you get your seed from? And you know what? Seed rounds are all micro now, right? So there's no real angel list here in Taiwan, right? You don't have that, but there's friends and family. And the good thing about Taiwan starting a software company is that costs are really low. I mean, when I was running a startup here, I felt ashamed at how little we were paying people, and yet we were paying above market, right? And you think about these horror stories in California, where people are essentially asking for $250,000 and like a huge chunk of equity, right out of CS at Stanford or whatever, or Berkeley. I mean, you kind of think to yourself like, wow, I could hire literally 10 people for that. Now, is that a better thing? I don't know. But it's you don't need money to be an app or software entrepreneur in Taiwan. There's a good group of people who do this and are very supportive of each other, right? Because we're not even second tier, in this world. And one of the issues is that, I've always maintained that in order for you to become a very, very large company very quickly, or not even very quickly, that you need to start in a market that has a good domestic market, or a market that's close to a lot of contiguous markets that you can serve very quickly, right? So for example, in Canada, you have 30 million people, but you're right next door to America. If you're number one in Canada, you're not going to be worth that much, but you can come into the United States, and if you're number one in the United States, you're worth a lot of money. In Japan, it's a very large economy. If you're number one in Japan, you could be a billionaire. China, forget about it. I mean, it's ridiculous. India as well, right? Russia, Brazil, the BRIC countries. There's a reason why Indonesia, all of these countries, if you can be number one in that one country, you'll be richer than Mammon, right? I mean, but when you're in Taiwan, an island of 23 million people, okay, you're number one in Taiwan. Who gives a crap, right? You might be able to retire and exit for a couple of $1 million or whatnot, which is fine. I mean, I'd love a couple of $1 million. But if you want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg, you want to be the next sort of Jack Ma, I mean, you really need to think scale, and you need to think about addressable markets in the immediate past. And a lot of Taiwanese entrepreneurs in the app economy that I've seen, their business plan calls for, in year one we'll do Taipei and northern Taiwan. Then in 6 months we'll go to central Taiwan, and then in a year we'll go to Kaohsiung, and then maybe after that we'll go to Malaysia and Hong Kong. And you're thinking like, why? Why? Like, you've got China right there. It's a different ecosystem, it's a different market, it's scary and it's big, of course. But you speak the same language, right? And you're scared. Why are you scared? You shouldn't be scared, right? It's a way bigger market. Look at Kang Su Fu, right? The noodle makers. You look at anyone who goes over there, that's the huger market, right? So if you want to be the next, Mark Zuckerberg, you want to be the next Bill Gates and the next Jack Ma, then you got to go to China if you're in Taiwan, really.
So that was Computex in Taiwan. And as you might know, we live here for over 6 years right now. And we're going to release a new format very, very soon. It's called Out of the Box. So we recorded this back in August last year. Mm-hmm. So I know it's a little bit older, but in terms of the quality, right, it's just not having any impact on this, because we really took our time. We thought we need to bring technology and travel and merge it together with cars. This is why Audi Taiwan gave us a Q5 last year in the summer. We drove down the east coast of Taiwan. So it's absolutely gorgeous over here. Yeah. And we would love to introduce Taiwan to you, the place where we live. We would love to show you some technology. Yes, those handsets aren't the newest ones anymore, but you know what? You can get them for cheap right now, because there's a new generation available right now. Yeah. So, and we want to talk about cars. And we kind of created a little bit of a story. Mm-hmm. The whole episode is about over 50 minutes long. It's
almost an hour, actually.
It's almost an hour. We're going to release it next week. Yeah. But what you guys will be able to see is an exclusive.
A little bit of a sneak preview of some parts of the show. So if you want to watch the rest of it, you're going to have to come back next week. the thing about this show is it was really a labor of love,
Yeah.
right? And like we almost just watched it ourselves and didn't want to show it to anybody.
Yeah. Now,
but the fundaments behind the where we kind of see the need for this show is that we travel so much, right, with this job, right? We both spend maybe at least 5 months a year jet setting to different countries to go look at new gadgets, and just in the meantime, we're relying on our gadgets to keep us connected or disconnected, right? And just to figure out how to get around, right? So really, to us, we weren't that time pressured to release it because honestly, the insight in it is timeless, right? The gadgets are still running Android or Windows Phone, and you'll be able to still take, you know, everything that you need from the concept of traveling with your tech.
Yeah. So basically, I guess we finally should take a look at it.
We should take a look at it.
Well, obviously this is not scripted here. So she's not looking at a teleprompter. It seems like you were lost a little bit.
I was a little romantic there.
Oh my God.
Tearing up at people seeing the show for the first time.
Oh,
a little bit nervous.
No, we're serious, and that's why we were also pitching it this way, as a teaser for today's live stream. This is a project that is very close to us. We put a lot of time into this, a lot of money into this for such a small media outlet that we are, and we really love the result of it. So what you're going to see is basically the work of many, many weeks and even some months. So enjoy. This is the first episode. This is the pilot episode. Or a sneak preview. A
tiny chunk.
Of out of the box. And you know what? Please give us feedback on this. Let us know in the chat on the side how you like it, how you love the camera work, how you love the audio, how you love the story.
We can take it.
We can take it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Taipei City, the capital of Taiwan, is a bustling metropolis surrounded by some of the most beautiful natural attractions in the world. With about 7 million residents in the metro area, Taipei is convenient to find. With multi-story electronics markets, massive shopping malls, fantastic dining options, and a subway system regularly hailed as the best in the world, it's no surprise that once people get to Taipei, they tend to stay. Once the sun goes down, the city takes on a different kind of bustle. Nightlife in Taipei consists of some of the best dance clubs in Asia, letting people dance until the sun comes up. Now, while all that's well and good, what people have oftentimes failed to notice is the wealth of natural beauty just a few hours outside of the capital. Mountains, oceans, and hot springs are only a short ride away, and travel is generally very reasonably priced. Stu, Sasha, and I have done the research and are here to let you guys know exactly where to go, what to see, and the best tech to bring with you to make the most of your trip. So we're about to leave on our exciting East Coast adventure. We're just waiting for one possibly hungover redhead.
Yeah, I think Stu is a little bit late.
Yeah, just a little bit. So we're actually going to be starting off in Elon, heading to the beach and maybe to the museum. And I know there's a sausage lady that might have a treat for us. Then there's Hualien and Chirocco Gorge. And then down the beautiful East Coast where I know you love the scooters. But I think the most exciting part for me is going to be the Hot Air Balloon Festival, where we get to watch the sunrise from 350 meters in the air.
We might gonna watch the sunrise, or let's say Nicole's gonna watch the sunrise. I might want to have a snooze.
Do I hear Afraid of Heights?
I just hate to be exposed underneath a hot air balloon.
All right, let's see if we can find Stu.
Let's do that. Not afraid of heights.
Right now we're in Songshan Airport in Taipei, the domestic terminal in Taiwan. If you're landing from an international flight, you're probably coming from Japan, South Korea, or mainland China. If you're landing from another international destination, you'd be arriving at Taoyuan Airport. That one's about 45 minutes to an hour from the city center. Songshan is conveniently located a 15-minute taxi ride away from the 101, or you can hop right on the subway. So if you can land at Songshan, you should totally do it.
Now, unless you're one of these crazy or brave people that only need to pack a bag and book a flight to anywhere, you probably want to do a little bit of a pre-trip planning.
Skyscanner will mix and match airlines in a more aggressive way than other apps. But it'll find you the absolute cheapest combination of sites to do your booking. We'd recommend this app if you're really looking for the cheapest flights, especially in Asia. Travel is Microsoft's travel app contribution. It's not only a booking service for hotels and flights, you're getting trip ideas, the latest news, and of course you can also search for destinations. Obviously we're over here in Taipei. It sends you to a beautiful landing page. You're even getting the latest weather report from a summary, and you're getting pictures. So it's a solid all-around app with easy navigation to check your trip details or read travel-related articles, and the destination page is fun to play around with even if you're not traveling. Kayak is not only a popular booking site, but it's also a popular booking app for flights, hotels, and car rentals. The hotel search comes with a compass and an app that even gives you directions to the place where you want to stay, which is of course handy if you're traveling without a plan. Okay. So how was that?
I loved it.
Me too! I thought it was amazing!
I mean, and the thing is...
So now it's out, by the way.
It's out, yeah.
Jesus!
Wow, it's out.
Jesus, now some people know about this.
It's in the wild.
Seriously, the only ones that knew about this were some friends. We were showing it once in public at a friend's house in Berlin about 2 months ago on a projector.
And we've been showing it to some people that we were looking at working with on episode 2 with potential sponsorship.
Yeah.
Which is what actually ultimately ended up taking it so long to release, because episode 2 is coming up. If you guys don't hate this one.
Yeah.
Don't hate it.
Don't hate it. Don't hate it.
So now...
I'm gonna switch up the live stream. Don't hate it.
So now that you guys have a little bit of a taste of what Taiwan looks like and some of the gorgeous beaches, because like if you just see our live stream from Computex and what the halls look like, this just looks like a robot, factory of lights and showgirls. But Taiwan actually has some really intense rugged beauty. So actually, the next place we're going to take you is one of our favorite places in Taipei City, right? And it's actually called Huashan, and it's right beside the computer market, right? So on the day 1 stream, you saw Sasha walking through the computer mall, right? The brand new one. And this is maybe a 10-minute walk from there, maybe a bit less. And so it's this culture park. It's called the 1914 Creative Park, or Huashan, and it's just gorgeous, and it's where they have the Maker Faire. So the Maker Faire happened 2 days before the start of Computex. So it kind of had this international crowd. A bunch of Japanese makers were there, and actually I got to sit down with one of the girls from the Maker Bar or Maker Faire in Singapore. Because when I was in Singapore for the LG G4 launch, I stopped by one of the Maker events where they were kind of pitching who was going to show, who was going to have stands, and the way that the people in Singapore talked about the Maker Faire was actually quite different than any other place that I've kind of heard people talk about their Maker Fairs. So we're going to show you both of our trip to the one here in Taipei, and then a bit of an in-depth interview on what Maker looks like.
Do we have the exploding smartphone in there?
We have the exploding smartphone.
Guys, you just don't want to miss this. Smartphones are evil. Trust me. Trust me. And we're going to show you how you can get rid of this evil.
So here at the Maker Faire,
here. We've come across the guys from IDEAM. Hi guys! Hi! So they have a really cool product they're going to bring to Kickstarter, and it draws with an LED. So you can see it right here. Hold it up. Yeah. So it actually paints light. So here's some examples. Here's a tiger. Here it actually is painting a logo. It's running Arduino, and that's how it's able to figure out how to do all this kind of stuff. Or you can just kind of make art. IDEAM, I-D-E-M. And so check back on Kickstarter in September where these guys launch, because they're going to try to do different types of light bars to do different types of products. So let's go see what else we have here at Maker Faire Taiwan.
And I'm here because, well, for several reasons, because I heard that the Taipei Maker Faire is a very wonderful place to get to understand the whole spectrum of what making is all about. And because in Singapore we're also trying to do that, we're trying to bring the different kinds of makers together and trying to see if we can cross-pollinate ideas. And we really wanted to come here to get ideas from Taipei, but at the same time we also wanted to come here to bring in some of the works that the makers in Singapore have been doing to sort of like show them that, okay, Singapore has a nice maker culture as well. But the maker scene in Singapore has been really growing. It's kind of like when we started the Maker Faire in 2012, we had like maybe about 20 odd makers. It's a very, very small event, probably because nobody has really heard about Maker Faire. Then over the last few years, it's really grown, not just in terms of the fair itself, which has really grown. This year, in fact, we're going to have close to maybe 200 odd exhibits, 60 over workshops and stuff within the 2 days. And we have probably about 400 makers who will be there, like, you know, displaying, talking about their work. But also, in addition to that, the maker scene is really grown because there's a lot of buy-in towards the maker movement from different parties. The education ministry has brought in, they see the value of making and getting kids to learn. And as a result of that, there are, as I was saying, there are maker events all through the year. And so anybody who's interested can go over to get started with tinkering, with making, to getting their hands dirty. In terms of the kind of makers in Singapore, you get a very wide spectrum. So you get the crafters, you get the people who do yarn bonding, you get the people who do paper crafting, like Priyanka, you know, they do paper crafting. You've got the people, you've got the geek guys who do their Arduinos and their drones and their 3D printers, and of course, but you also see these weirdos in the middle who try to come up with very interesting stuff. So this year I think there is a maker who is trying to do a project which is an art installation which has to, it's a kind of a Turing machine that simulates what World War II message encoding during World War II was like, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I haven't really seen it, but based on what he had submitted in his project, I was like, okay, that's really cool. But what we also see additionally, and that's something that I've seen only in Singapore and in Taipei, is we've got a lot of very young children coming in as makers. So this year in Singapore, our youngest maker is 6 years old, which is really cool. I think it's, again, this is one of the first years that we are actually having kids as makers. Last year we had a few students, like 13, 14-year-old students coming in, but this year the 6-year-olds coming in and homeschool groups, and they really want to bring their kids in because one is the kids have been coming to fairs ever since the last 3 years, and then they want to come in as exhibitors, they want to come in to share what they have learned, which is really fantastic. So local culture, right? So for example, I went to Shenzhen Maker Faire last year. And Shenzhen Maker Faire tends to be a lot like a consumer electronic conference because, well, that's what Shenzhen is. It's like mass, you know, all the startups and the manufacturing and everything. It's really the tech. In fact, there's hardly anything that's artsy in Shenzhen. Whereas when we went to Tokyo, I was very impressed by the Tokyo Maker Faire because a lot of things that Japan has in terms of culture, you know, the otaku culture, the robotics culture, the comics culture, all these came together, and many of the projects that you see, even it could be an Arduino thing, it could be an Arduino that's powering one of these Japanese-inspired characters, which is so close to the hearts of the Japanese because it's part of their lifestyle. So it's very interesting to see how the culture comes forth in the way the makers work on their projects, and also in the way that the makers actually exhibit. And we see also that in Singapore, because Singapore has an education culture, very strong education culture. And I was just telling some of the makers yesterday, because yesterday I was in FAN too, and I was just telling some of the makers that in Singapore this year we have about 60 odd workshops and presentations. And they were telling me that that's really a record, and it just doesn't happen anywhere else. And that's probably because Singaporeans like to teach. They may not, even if they are not very good at it, they still like to teach and to share and stuff, which I think comes out in the culture of Singapore. And I think in Singapore we also get a lot of hands-on activities, a lot more hands-on than we would see. So yeah.
Hey guys, this is from Geeks here. We're in downtown Taipei at the Makers Fair 2015, which should actually be the third Makers Fair here in Taipei, Taiwan. And actually we stumbled upon something really, really interesting, and this is what's happening here. Basically this is based around a smartphone which turned us into modern slaves. Have you ever wondered what life would look like without a smartphone? And what you could do without all your spare time and not constantly checking your screen? There are statistics where they're saying that in between 200 and 300 times a day we're looking at the screen of our smartphones. Those guys have a solution for this. It's basically, they have an open source design for a case to glue up your smartphone safely. So you're just using this little pack of crackers, right? Putting it in there, and on top of it goes your smartphone, and at the end of the day, it's not only your smartphone that's going to be done then. So we have a bunch of iPhone 6s here, but of course also the case that they have over here. So this is an open source design that basically frees you from the idea of becoming a modern slave to technology, which is by using a smartphone on a daily basis. I've never seen anything like this, but it's quite interesting. If you really want to get rid of your smartphone safely, make sure you get the proper case and just glue it up. I'm Sasha from Mobile Geeks here at the Makers Fair 2015 in Taipei. And if you want to check out the website, it's goodnight.wordpress.com. Thanks for watching.
I'm Monica. This is Maker Bar. We're at a co-working space and a maker space in the city of Taipei, and we're actually right in the center of it. And what we do is we provide co-working space for startups, designers, anybody that needs a place to work. The maker space element is that we have machines and tools, digital machines like 3D printers, laser cutters, hand tools for people that need to get their projects made. The term maker, I think, it really became a trending topic with Chris Anderson's book. I think that was published also in 2013. But the whole DIY culture has always been around. It's probably, I want to say, not as prominent as or popular as, say, places like in the States or Europe, just because it's such a convenient place in Taiwan to live. But there are small communities in architecture, in new media art, that have always tinkered with tools and digital machines. I would say the term maker, when applied to Taiwan, there are always people already working with their hands, craftsmen, designers that are working with their hands, they make stuff. But I think the maker term right now in Taiwan, it's being applied to a lot more like digital, for example, or another trending issue is IoT. I think the maker culture is more embedded in the lifestyle of, say, for example, the American culture, whereas here it's now being promoted, and then it's becoming embedded into, or put it back into the educational system now. Now that people are realizing we're getting a little bit detached from the manufacturing roots, but there should be a stronger connection between design, innovation, and everything IoT related to that manufacturing background that we have. I think there's definitely a connection, and there should be a connection, and hopefully there will be a stronger connection than there is right now. We do, I think how it helps is that it just supplies and tools, materials are just so much more accessible for the makers in Taiwan than say in the US where things get shipped and it's more expensive. So that helps. And then a lot of the know-hows are passed down, and the knowledge are passed firsthand from older makers to the newer makers in spaces like this. For example, we have somebody called Ma Ba. He is an IBM retiree, and then he's very involved in the maker movement in all the spaces, just really passing down his know-how. So I think resources like that are very valuable to the makers in Taiwan. In terms of stronger connections right now, I think a lot of people are talking about smaller factories becoming more involved in terms of helping to build, helping to manufacture for smaller amounts, since a lot of the orders for larger amounts have shifted to China. So I think that's a definite opportunity there that's waiting to be explored, which I don't think is really that well known yet. Huge differences already existing between makers in Taipei, makers in, for example, Japan or Shenzhen, Shenzhen especially. I think the maker concept is so deeply rooted, or the DIY culture is so deeply rooted in the American culture. It's the garage culture. It's the fix it yourself, and it's so a lot more hands-on in the U.S., which is not so much here, like I said, because life is so convenient. I call it personally the 7-Eleven. It's the 7-Eleven culture. It's like the 7-Eleven life.
So I still can't believe that guy wanted to remove the evil from your life. I love my phone, but the idea that he has an exact way you can blow it up, that's pretty
And it's
amazing.
open source.
I actually really want to get that light stick where you can draw logos with the shutter speed. I mean, like there were legitimately some pretty cool things at the maker fair. Now, one of the things that tends to be a little bit different in Taipei and Shenzhen versus what I've seen in maybe the U.S. in general is that over here, sometimes they're a little bit business model first, right? Like they're making something, but they're like, but this is how we're going to sell it and make money. Whereas, in San Mateo, they're like, here's my fire-breathing dragon.
Right.
Maybe you should donate some money so I can buy some more gas. Like the idea behind it's actually quite different. So we're gonna sit down now with one of my favorite journalists here in Taipei, Josh Horowitz. He's now at Quartz. He used to be at Tech in Asia, and he's gonna give us a rundown on the state of startup here in Taipei. So what it looks like for these makers that are looking to take their gadgets onto Kickstarter and get them funded.
Yeah.
And he's also going to talk a little bit about mobile messaging.
Yeah, and he was also talking to the stormtrooper.
Yeah, when he was here, he just sat here talking to the stormtrooper. I don't know why. He was just facing this way. Talking. Okay, you're gonna love it. I mean, like I could have cut it out, but at the same time, it was just so
I thought it was
random.
kind of funny.
Yeah, it was totally random and funny. All right, so enjoy, Josh.
Let's do it.
Sure. Well, one thing that I think when you talk about mobile apps in Asia, which is a big topic, I think that one of the more salient themes is probably mobile messaging. And a lot of people, I think, in the States don't really realize how powerful the concept of mobile messaging really is and the potential for owning the messaging real estate. In the United States in particular, I think since most people have phone plans where text messaging is free, people don't really understand what makes apps like WhatsApp or apps like Line here in Taiwan or in Japan or apps like WeChat so exciting or so powerful. I think to a lot of Americans, SMS or text messages, it's bland, it's boring, it's simple. But when you consider that most people in other parts of the world, particularly in Europe and then also in Asia, for people in those parts of the world, text messaging costs money. And so apps like WhatsApp, apps like Line, apps like WeChat, making that free is actually really valuable. And when you consider how often we send text messages to each other, and when you consider how much time that we spend on our phones is taken up by mobile messaging, companies that take ownership of that real estate are in a very unique position to use that real estate for other purposes, for opportunities to make money, maybe through advertising or maybe through other services. And so that's why we see companies like Line in Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, companies or software apps like WeChat in China, when they own that real estate and then when they own the network of users, when they have everyone using those apps, then these companies, much like Facebook can monetize off of that big network, these companies and these apps they can monetize off of those networks too. BBM, I think for a time was really kind of holding on strong in Indonesia, because Indonesia was the one market where BlackBerry kind of was still kind of clinging on to. My understanding is that BlackBerry was still really cool in Indonesia. It was still a desirable consumer brand, and so BBM kind of benefited from that. But obviously, the tide is moving towards Android and iOS, and so BBM is kind of dying along with that trend. But I think it varies market by market. In China, the dominant messaging app, without question, is WeChat. And WeChat is kind of its own rabbit hole. It's kind of like its own portal. If you think about Yahoo in the 90s, or the way that a lot of people use Facebook now as their landing page, that's very much a position that WeChat occupies now in China. Here in Taiwan, it's without question Line. Line also has dominance in Thailand and Japan. And you and I see that every day, where we go to the 7-Eleven and we see Line characters on the on the windows, and we see Line keychains for sale right next to the candy bars at the counters. And even today, I was out shopping, and I was just at a clothing store, and right next to the cash register, they said, "Follow us online," right? So it's powerful the same way that Facebook is powerful in the States, or globally too. But going market by market, I'd say it seems like these companies seldom release regional breakdowns, but it seems like Hong Kong WhatsApp is the definite messenger, with WeChat in a strong second. Singapore, it looks like WhatsApp is in the lead. Southeast Asia, or the developing parts of Southeast Asia, Vietnam, it seems like it's kind of up in the air. There's one local player that we've been told is doing really well. Korea, KakaoTalk definitely has dominance, the same way that Line has dominance here. Europe, it's definitely WhatsApp. I think they benefited by getting there early. So it's really hard to say decisively where these companies have market leadership, but typically, when you look at the numbers that are given, and when you just spend enough time on the subway and you look at which app is on everyone's phones, that's kind of the best way to tell. Just to answer the most basic part of your question, how are these companies monetizing? Line is monetizing primarily through game-related purchases and purchases of stickers, which are these sort of cute little graphics that you can use in conversations to make them more interesting. It's a sort of thing where I think a lot of North Americans look at these stickers and they think these are the ridiculous, and then once you start using them and buying them, I'll shamelessly admit I buy stickers all the time. They're really addictive and they're fun. And they cost about $1 per purchase. And Line is making a lot of money, a lot of revenue through selling those stickers and through game-related purchases. The gaming side, when Line will just sort of advertise its games or sort of keep its promotions for games very close to the screen real estate that you see for messaging, and so that'll kind of suck people in. WeChat is monetizing similar, through not so much through stickers, but through a lot of game purchases. But what we'll be seeing for both of these companies is more monetization on possibly e-commerce, right? So WeChat has been aggressively recruiting a lot of small and medium-sized brick-and-mortar stores, small and medium-sized websites, and then also big brands like, say, for example, Uniqlo, McDonald's, Starbucks, and they've been aggressively trying to get them to open up official accounts, which lead to opportunities for both marketing and also purchases of, say, an actual pair of jeans or an actual pair of coffee, or an actual cup of coffee. So I think that for both of these platforms, the immediate monetization opportunities are games and stickers, sort of virtual goods. Then also marketing and promotion channels, much in the same way that Facebook monetizes. And then eventually it's going to be online to offline. Buying a cup of coffee, in-store payments, ordering a pair of jeans online, or for WeChat and then Line in Japan, both now let you book a cab. Kind of like, it's sort of like there's a sort of local Uber that you can use. And again, the reason that they're able to do that is because they have these networks. Everyone who uses these apps devotes so much attention to them that they can have these monetization opportunities. WhatsApp has not done any of this. If anything, they've remained really dogmatic. The founders seem to have these principles where they don't like advertising, they don't like virtual goods. And then the founder sort of famously, reportedly, has this sticker that he keeps next to his desk where he wrote down, no games, no ads, no gimmicks. And they've made sort of half-hearted attempts to monetize through annual subscriptions, but they haven't really rolled that out aggressively. I think it's kind of been on a trial basis. So they really haven't monetized, period. And again, I think that the best explanation for that is because that was just a decision the company made. What differences do I see in VC funding for mobile app startups in Asia versus the West? There's definitely a lot less money going around in Asia than there is in Silicon Valley. That said, in almost every major city in Asia, you'll find at least a few VC firms that are committed to funding the internet startups that come out of their cities. And we're seeing more and more early stage funds in these cities. We're seeing more and more medium or later stage funds in these cities. A lot of them are investing both in the US or San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and also their hometowns. For example, there's a VC fund in Korea that has an accelerator component where they incubate local teams, and then they also take in a few foreign teams. And then likewise for the related VC fund, they kind of keep some hands in Korea and then some hands in Silicon Valley. So that's a model that a lot of these firms are taking, and I think it's a good one because it, on the one hand, it keeps them included in the deal flow that's going on in Silicon Valley, which is where you've got the best deal flow, the most activity. On the other hand, you can do your part to nurture, to take advantage of the local talent that's coming from the local pools, for example, which in Taiwan, for example, would be hardware at HTC, Asus. In a place like Korea, it would be Samsung. And also a lot of these, we're going to see more and more talent come from the local internet companies as well. I think particularly in Japan, Line itself, or Naver, its parent company, they just introduced a $40 million VC fund for startups. And so I think we're going to see these messaging apps like Line. I think that Tencent is going to have a VC firm that's kind of tied to WeChat, and that's looking for internet startups in other markets in Asia that can help Tencent or help WeChat in these markets.
So what types of apps are kind of like the higher quality ones that you feel are coming up in like an interesting way? Because there's a lot of stuff happening in Asia, but there's not a lot of mature business model ideas or concepts that I see kind of coming forward. That like when I talk to a lot of companies, I'm just like, oh, you guys are maybe 1 year off from kind of being ready to.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's still quite young out here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're looking at like the overall kind of ecosystem, there's companies that are more mature and less mature. Like, are there any trends that you can identify for like different types of apps that might be like more mature out of Asia, or like segments people should keep an eye on more so than others?
I really wouldn't say that there's a trend. I wouldn't say that Asia has an advantage for. I think people like to say, oh well, Tokyo. People will like to make statements, for example, oh well, Taiwan has a great hardware legacy, so Taiwan's future is the Internet of Things and smart hardware. And that might be true, but really companies evolve on sort of a granular level. There's personalities involved. There's all sorts of murky elements that make companies successful, and so I don't think you can just say, well, hardware background equals Internet of Things success. It's really common to see a lot of successful models originate in in Silicon Valley, but then be replicated in Asia in ways that are more local and perhaps more suited to the local market. So if we talk about ride hailing, for example, we're seeing, like, Uber is a great example of a really, really brilliant business concept that's done tremendously well in the United States. And then what we're seeing in Asia is the leading companies that are applying Uber's premise to their local market. It's being done in a localized way. So what does that mean? Well, in Southeast Asia, for example, there's a very successful ride-hailing company called Grab Taxi. And what they do is they reach out directly to taxis. So the bulk of their network is made from ordinary yellow taxis, whereas in Uber's case in the United States, the bulk of their network is made up of black cars, or more likely just ordinary people like you and me, peer-to-peer cars, cars that are owned by ordinary people. And the reason why that might be why the Grab Taxi model, or starting from taxis, might make more sense for Southeast Asia is because it allows for cash payments. The concept is a little more palatable for perhaps the average consumer. Instead of trying to convince an average consumer that it's worth their time to get into a Mercedes or their neighbors' cars, their neighbors might not even own cars, and there might not be enough car ownership to validate the peer-to-peer model there. But there's always a pool of abundant taxis in, say, Singapore or in, say, Jakarta. So that's an example of a model that's being done in the West, or that originated out in the US, but that is being applied in its own special local way. This would be in Southeast Asia. It's also what's being done in India. It's also what's being done in China.
Okay.
So, yeah, the Stormtrooper loved it.
He totally loved it. You can't wait for Josh to come back and whisper more words of startup love to him. So, speaking of all of this kind of idea of makers over here sometimes don't see the same VC, and it's a little bit more family and friends. Let's take a closer look at what it looks like in Shenzhen, because Shenzhen is actually a lot more hardcore when it comes to how they're going to be producing these Kickstarter campaigns.
Yeah.
So my favorite hackerspace is called Seed Studio. And it's because these guys actually, I know, well, I just keep on swinging away from you.
To the right side. Yeah.
To the left, to the right. It's a really swivelly chair. Or I've had too many beers.
See if I can make a 360 on it.
Here we go.
No!
360. No, he's got to come back around this way. So it's Seed Studio that we're going to be going to next. Because these guys, they work with a lot of makers, and then they have their own fab.
Okay.
Right, so they can actually create, up to 10,000 pieces in one day, but they're more about rapid prototyping. And then they have a partnership with Foxconn, that if you get over 10,000, you can go directly to Foxconn. So, Maker in Shenzhen is actually just kind of a little bit different, because it's where everyone from Europe and the US globally flies over to try to find the plant.
Let's check it out.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Hi, my name is Nicole Scott from Mobile Geeks. I'm here in Shenzhen at Seed Studios. This is one of the one of my favorite makerspaces that I've been itching to see for a long time. Now, this isn't your traditional makerspace because, well, it's got 3 floors and a fab. It's got 280 employees, and it actually enables incubators. So, like everything in Shenzhen, it's on the next level. Eric Penn and his company Seed Studio are showing the future of hardware development. Hackers around the world are innovating on open prototyping platforms, raising funds through crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter, and partnering with Chinese studios to create manufacturable designs in small batches using technology like 3D printing and open source hardware components.
We call Shenzhen is like Hollywood for makers. Yeah, it's quite open. It is the market for everyone. You can get what you want, and you can make your stuff. Just you take your ideas here, and you find the hack space even here or some space else. You just put your things and try to hack it and make it. Seed Studio, we start from 2008. At that time, we joined the forums and we see Arduino is quite. His idea is from Eric's experience. The time he visited Beijing, there is an exhibition. It's an art exhibition, installation, interactive installation exhibitions. And he found it's very interesting. A lot of artists, designers try to using electronic stuff to their ideas, their projects. And he think that is kind of like an opportunity for him because he just quit his job from Intel as the product manager. Yeah. And then he go to Shenzhen to look around. He found Huaqiangbei electronics market and it's amazing. That is the place he want to live. And he just find the place to live here and call his friend, just ship the things from Beijing to here. And then we start from a board called Arduino. That is a different things between a little bit like upgrade version. We collect some ideas from the community in the Arduino community and the other forums. And we think, what kind of thing you want plus Arduino? And we collect a lot of ideas and then we develop our board with a little bit different functionality and on the board, like we add some button, we change some voltage to output something. And that is our first product. At that time, we developed a lot of things related to Arduino boards. Like we have a lot of different shields, like which is very different functionality for Arduino. And we also have a groove system, which just plug and play very easily for artists or designer to use it. We call ourselves like maker for makers. We try to be a maker. Like me, I'm an artist, interactive installation artist, which I have 3 years in Hong Kong. I make a lot of interactive installations. And then I'm quite curious how this module be made. So I joined C Studio and yeah, actually I was a maker. And now I really know what the makers want. We join some fairs, like exhibitions. We go to San Francisco for the first Maker Fair we have, and it's a Maker Fair Barry. We're just very excited. At that time, we see a lot of makers making their things. We have some connection, we share our ideas, and we share the Shenzhen, the center of the manufacturing in China. And then we find some requires from the community. They want to make some products to manufacturing in Shenzhen. So at that time, we developed a service for the makers.
What makes this hackerspace a little more different in my mind than other hackerspaces that I've come across is that it fills the gap for indie hardware makers through their community, open hardware component library, and small batch production capabilities.
We have our own small production line, which we call NGL Manufacturing Center. Like 100 square meter place, we have a product line, which help manufacturing like 100 pieces. And more than that, we can connection with the outsourced factory. Yes. So we focus on like from 1 to 10,000. If more than 10,000, we switch to the other big factory like Foxconn. Big factory, they don't care about the small batches. No, they just okay. How many you want to make? And maybe 100 or maybe 1,000. For the maker, it's a lot of the big. It's a lot. But for the factory, no, it's kind of piece of cake. No, and yeah, and so that is the problem. So we try to help the makers to make the prototypes. Yeah, and these two parts of things we see Studio, what we are doing here is quite amazing to be here as a maker. In the past, it's very easy to get. In other cities, even in Shanghai or Beijing, you need some time to wait, they ship to you. If you try to Google manufacturing in Shenzhen, you can see a lot of red points on the map. In US or like even in Shanghai and Beijing, it's pretty far, the center to the factory. But in Shenzhen, even on the street, it's like a printer shop. That kind of two things is enough good for the makers to make the choice to try to live here for their products. Yeah. Compared to the Chinese maker and the US makers, the Chinese makers try to make something can be a business. I talk a lot of makers in the United States. But sometimes for the United States maker, like maybe just for fun, that is a little bit kind of difference between the West or here or to the United States. Yeah, a lot of United States makers come to Shenzhen, and to here it's quite convenient and easy to make their ideas very efficiency.
I think the makers in Shenzhen, probably in China overall, is that they probably more concerned about what their business model is going to be like. It's more than just about making something cool, but also how are they going to grow as a team, and also how or even a more basic question, how are they going to pay for the bills so that the project become viable. So I think that's a really big distinction between two groups of makers.
There is a lot of place talking about the maker movement, but it's really hard to find a good community for the makers to show their stuff. Like we have the Maker Fair Shenzhen, which is the 7th featured maker fair in the world. I mean, in China they have something else, but here it's like a station for connecting the West and the East. We invite a lot of makers all over the world. They will come here to show their stuff, and they give them some talk, sharing their ideas, and even sharing some experience. So I think kind of activities is very good for the community, and it's very good for the maker to communicate, sharing the idea, or getting some comments for their stuff. These 3 forms, I think there will be the top I want to share, but Shenzhen is quite a place for the makers to make the choice live.
Why don't we stay in Shenzhen for a little bit longer?
I can stay in
because
Shenzhen
we did 2 very, very interesting videos that we would love to show you. The first is Nicole is showing you a little bit more about the smartphone ecosystem, how the shops look like, and how busy it is over there.
Yeah.
And the second is actually really funny. It is how they're gonna sell you fake premium batteries, and how they're gonna relabel them and rebrand them. And
taking off the old stickers.
That
and
is such
putting
an
on new
investigative
stickers.
piece of journalism.
Oh, thank you.
So you should definitely check this out. Enjoy.
The Yuanwang Digital Mall is my favorite computer market in all of Shenzhen, and it's because it's where the majority of the bulk buying for China goes on. So if a phone's going to be sold in China, chances are it passed through the floors of this computer market. Now let's do an unedited walkthrough on the iPhone 6 as soon as I can switch it around to the front-facing camera. Now, over the years that I've been coming here, the computer market's gotten a lot nicer. The entrance is a little bit fancier. I apologize for the audio on this. I'm just recording it straight onto the iPhone. I mean, the cool thing about this versus the other years that I've been coming here is that I had to carry a big camera, which would get me a lot of looks. Now, when you come onto the first floor, you can kind of walk around down through here, which does have some interesting shops. But if we head on up the escalator, my favorite guy to buy smartphones from is just right at the top of the escalator. He's the one in the yellow booth here. I'm gonna come say hello to him later, not really right now. He looks kind of busy selling something to somebody. But anyways, it's this guy right here. This guy. So anyways, most computer markets are kind of like this. They're just tons of small little alleyways with little booths, and you can see in the cases there, it's just stacked with phones, right? So when you're walking around, you can kind of get an idea of what's hot, right? So here are a bunch of Huawei Ascend 7 boxes. Oh, I'm causing a traffic jam. Sorry about that, guys. Here's a bunch of HTC stuff. There's the N8, the Desire, there's an Xperia T2 in there. There's a lot of iPhones, Here's some Galaxy Note 4s and some iPhones. Now, over there, we're going to see some people taking off stickers and putting on batteries. Now, I've got an entire video about that. I'm going to keep moving because they really don't like it when you film stuff like that. But I have an entire video about that already. So I'll put a link in right now so you guys can kind of take a look. Now, like I was saying downstairs, in previous years, I've had to carry a big camera in order to get footage of in here. And I mean, you can do it, but they'll start to get mad, right? So here's a shop that's just for connectors and headphones. More connectors and headphones. And like you'll see as I hold the phone up, so this is it. This is the main kind of area where all the phones get sold. So you'll see, just like closest to me right here, there's an entire stack of phones. And in this bag, I've got a bag full of phones. Yeah, I mean, yeah, here's a bunch of iPhone connectors, or sorry, headsets. Here's some more. Now, are they real or are they fake? It's always hard to know, right? You really kind of have to know your stuff if you're purchasing in here. I mean, and it's hot. You can see everyone's got these fans, right? And they're just cleaning off phones. Now, I'm gonna look around for somebody who's got a price sheet. Maybe a slightly different price sheet than that one, and a less scary man. So here's another stack of phones. Those are iPhone 6s. So she's gonna pick all those up. All those iPhone 6s. And you can see the unopened, or the open. And we're gonna come across some people making up the boxes. So you can see here, they've packaged up the boxes and set to free. So you can kind of buy them packaged like this. And these are these price sheets that I was talking about. They get updated daily, and they give you an idea of what each handset's being sold for. So here's the iPads, iPad Air. This is a pretty Apple exclusive shop. Some of the other ones, actually I think they've changed the overall format. So here's the S5, that's going for $2,600, the Note 4, $3,900. So they're all kind of handwritten day by day, fluctuating with the prices. So here's the Mi Note, the Air 2. Yeah, these price sheets are always really interesting. So the boxes of the S5. We'll keep on walking through. I don't want to linger too much. So there's actually some Galaxy Note 3s over there, which I find pretty interesting, and iPhone 5s. So these guys must be specializing in older phones. And check out their price list here. So right now, these are all in renminbi, and it's about 6 renminbi to $1 US. I'm not going to try to do the math because that might look embarrassing. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So these guys are all doing, there's the lightning cables, the adapters, and these will all go into the boxes. You see all the boxes that are just whizzing by me. I haven't yet seen a pallet full of phones or tablets. In some other years, that's been something that's been pretty common for me to check out, but I'll keep on walking around. Just to give you guys an idea, I'm going to go into some of the smaller side alleys. And one thing you guys should keep an eye out for is there's smoking in here. There he is, smoking away. This definitely isn't your... See lightning connectors. Yeah, and then here's a bunch of batteries. Oh, apparently we're in the kind of battery area. See, here's the bulk buying for busy. Yeah, these are all lightning cables in here. These are all for distribution into China. Yeah, you get when you get further back, it gets a lot more kind of, well, I wouldn't say scary, but it gets a little more intense. I know back here, another video that you can check. Oh, here's some LG. Yeah, so LG's got some traction here. There's the LG G3, right? And this is the thing that I like about wandering around this market, is that it gives you a sense of what types of phones are being sold. I mean, primarily we're seeing mostly Xiaomi's, Samsung's, and of course iPhone is the big one. Yeah. Xiaomi batteries. Yeah. Nice, yeah. So I mean, Xiaomi's definitely gaining a lot of traction here in China. One thing that I did see the last time when I was walking through here is seeing more pallets of just stuff. What is in there? Meizu. Alright, so those are all Meizu phones. Kind of love Meizu. We're actually, see, and then this store just sells boxes. Right, so it's a store that only sells boxes. iPhone 5S, iPhone 6 on the other wall. So each shop can kind of make a living out of individual packaging for resale in. Now, because the iPhone is legal in China, it doesn't have the same kind of black market salacious reputation that it used to. But headphones are also coming in as a pretty popular thing. I have no idea what's in there. So this is actually the main floor. Now there is another area that I don't know how to get to at this exact moment. It's not down those stairs, but it's the smartphone repair area. But I'm actually gonna maybe end this video here, because it's been 8 minutes. The kind of long pan. So all of these guys that you see here.
Excuse me, don't make a photo, please.
But it's so. Hi, Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks, and today I'm going to be sharing a story from my trip to Shenzhen and counterfeit batteries. China produces more counterfeit products than any other nation. Everything from bogus Coca-Cola to Louis Vuitton handbags, and of course, knockoff mobile phones and batteries. If you're wondering why this is, well, Chinese consumers can be a little obsessed with Western brands. So since many are unable to fork over for the real deal, they are the ones that are fueling the demand. If you're looking for knockoffs and counterfeit goods, there is no other place in the world more infamous than Shenzhen. I took a trip to Huaqiangbei, the main computer market street in Shenzhen. It's got dozens of multi-story computer markets, but there is one in particular that gets me really excited. It's Yuanwang Digital Plaza. According to their website, it's 30,000 square meters that, to be honest, kind of looks like a sketchy office building. This computer market is unlike any other that I've been to because it specializes in smartphones. And not only in the selling of smartphones, the bulk selling of smartphones to China. So the thing that I found fascinating was when I was wandering the halls, I came across something completely mind-blowing. People were peeling off the old stickers on used batteries and replacing them with brand new stickers with the intention of selling these as brand new batteries. There are even stores where you can buy certification stickers. At this booth, they were also testing Samsung Galaxy S3 batteries, which were knockoffs. I couldn't tell, but they eventually told me that they were not original Samsung branded batteries. But what you'll be pleased to know is that they were doing some testing to make sure that they were holding a charge and in working order before they were sold. Here you see the testing process as well as one of the batteries getting rejected. In addition to batteries, there were also counterfeit chargers. What was confusing is that I was talking to a guy who was selling them, and he was telling me that because this room is the official point or the unofficial point of import of iPhones and a lot of legitimate products into China, a lot of the chargers that I was seeing in the room actually were legitimate, but a lot of them weren't. And I looked at him and I said, well, how do I know? And he just smiled and laughed at me. So why should you be worried about buying unofficial batteries? Well, the media has often gone crazy whenever a battery explodes, causes a fire. These are the most obvious and terrifying reasons why you shouldn't be picking up a counterfeit battery. But you do save a ton of money. Personally, I buy a lot of counterfeit batteries and nothing's ever gone wrong.
but it is totally a buyer beware. The battery could be of such poor quality that the casing actually breaks apart if you accidentally drop your phone, and then will like spray battery acid inside your handset, right? So that could happen. But this is pretty rare, right? You don't really hear of like battery acid leaking out into phones very often. What you usually hear of is a charger will go on fire or a phone will explode. Now, what is happening and why you should be avoiding aftermarket chargers and why these products are dangerous is the danger is the charger may not terminate the battery correctly, and it will rely on the battery's internal protection circuits to cut off the charge, right? So when the battery becomes full, the battery will tell the charger, stop sending me electricity, I'm full. Or the charger will detect the battery is full and say, I'm gonna stop sending electricity. So there's actually a double fail, right? So the charger should stop and the battery should stop. But if say you have a dodgy battery and a dodgy charger, that's when you're gonna get an explosion. So I buy counterfeit batteries. I mean, they're like half the price because you'll see kind of quickly whether or not the battery is gonna work out for you or not. Is it holding a full charge, right? Is the charge going down at like a normal speed and not like your phone has 70%, then it has 20%, right? That's usually what happens when you buy a counterfeit battery. Or what can happen sometimes is like with this whole sticker thing, you might have ordered a 3,000 milliampere battery, but inside they actually only have like a 2,000 milliampere battery, right? They just put a sticker of a 3,000 and charged you more. There's really no way for you to protect yourself from stuff like that. But when I buy, I just check the comments. I really make sure that other people are happy and satisfied with their purchase. But it is a danger. I'm going to be a girl who takes a gamble. Maybe that's a stupid thing, right? It is. It's crazy. But I'm walking on the wild side with my tech, I guess. I'll just cry, buy a new phone. It's a good excuse. So I'm Nicole Scott from Mobile Geeks. I have a few more of these videos in my pocket, so be sure to check onto our channel to see some of my adventures in Shenzhen. Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks, and welcome to Shenzhen. And today I'm here to ask the question, what happens to a mobile phone after you recycle it? Well, depending on how old it is, it could end up in a developing country, but sub $100 handsets are getting, well, pretty good. So the chances of somebody who earns less than $1 a day wanting something that's not 2G enabled, well, that's pretty slim. Now, these old gadgets that you're just not going to use, like a audio cassette player or maybe your compact disc player, what happens to things like these, or even just those old mobile phones? Well, I'm here in Shenzhen to answer that question and to take a look at some of the alternatives to your gadgets ending up in the dump. So why Shenzhen? Well, it should come as no surprise that the West has been shipping their garbage east for years. But what is it about Shenzhen that's been attracting all this global e-waste? Since the mid-1980s, China has been home to a thriving business devoted to remaking and refurbishing used electronics. No one knows the scale or the revenue, but you can bet it's big. There isn't one town or village that doesn't have at least one used electronics market. And here in Shenzhen, there are entire city blocks devoted to reusing rather than recycling. Now, the craziness and madness of Huacheng Bay should give you just a taste of just how massive China's electronics ecosystem for manufacturing really is. Now, they're not creating these computers out of thin air. They need precious metals to make it happen. So in theory, recycling cell phones is a cheaper and greener means of extracting gold. But how exactly do you make that happen? Well, you feed the phone into a shredder, turn it all up, and then through a rather expensive and kind of toxic process, use some chemical acids to extract the gold away. And you're gonna get a lot of the rare earth elements out of there, but you're not gonna get everything. Or there's the other way we see here in Shenzhen, where the boards are stripped by hand of precious metal-bearing chips before they hit the blades. So what exactly happened in the 80s to cause China to become the e-waste powerhouse that it is today? Well, let's take IBM for example. When this huge company decided to move from rotary-style telephones to digital touchpads, what did they do with those? Or when they upgraded their mainframe servers, what happened to those old things? Well, the US in the 80s didn't have an electronic scrap system in place. So big companies like this basically just put them into shipping containers, sent them east, and didn't think twice about it. But what happened when that waste got to China, well, Shenzhen specifically, was something kind of awesome. The Chinese didn't really have computers then, so they were almost like gifts from the future. So they basically sold them at a huge profit. And that was where e-waste in China actually started. Straight up recycling. So if you're wondering how I got all of this footage, well, basically I did it by playing a dumb tourist. And whenever they would look too closely or too hard or too long, I would pull a macro shot on something really stupid, like a whole bunch of lightning connectors. They'd be like, oh, what's she doing? And I'd show them super proud of my lightning connector photo, and then they would look at each other and laugh. But there's been other times when I was a little less quick to move around or a little too starstruck or wonderstruck by what was going on, that I would have my camera slapped down, shoved out of the way, people walking in front of the camera pushing me back. And, you know, I get it. This is China. You don't really want to be filmed doing anything too illegal. So I'm Nicole Scott for Mobile Geeks here in Shenzhen. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to our channel because I have a whole series of me doing stuff here in Shenzhen, kind of exploring this really amazing underbelly of Chinese electronics. Actually, no, global electronics. Nicole Scott here for Mobile Geeks.
Back to Taipei, back to Taiwan. This is only about 70 minutes flight to get to Hong Kong, and then you're getting on a bus or
you can fly directly to Shenzhen. Yeah, and the airport is like this really cool latticework. It's actually one of the more stunning interiors that I've seen. It's nicer than Hong Kong if you've been there. It's more like space age.
Yeah, but she is the mainland China tourist.
The tourist.
I'm only doing Shanghai. Coming back to Taiwan, I mean, we really hope that you love this first little sneak preview of Out of the Box. And if you've missed this on our streamer, here's a chance to get a second little episode of it. So let us know how you like our new format. Out of the Box, here we go.
We're here in beautiful Tauchung in Yilan County on the north coast of Taiwan. With scenery this nice, it's hard not to want to take a few pictures. Today, we're going to be comparing 3 different smartphones. I'm going to be using the LG G3. Stu's going to be on the OnePlus One smartphone from Shenzhen. And Sasha, well, he'll be using the Nokia Lumia 930. The LG G3 is 5.5 inches with a display so stunning that you better have a killer camera to show it off. It's Quad HD, which means it's supposed to have more pixels than your eye can see. Under the hood, we've got a Snapdragon 801, and the version we have has 3 GB of RAM. The camera is 13 megapixel with a laser-guided autofocus that allows you to lock focus on subjects quicker, which will allow you to take crisper photos.
Who cares about that? Let me tell you about a real phone. This is the OnePlus One. So you're getting a 5.5-inch screen, it's 1080p, full HD. Inside you're getting a Snapdragon 801 at 2.5 gigahertz, backed by 3 gigabytes of RAM. On the back you got a 30 megapixel camera, a 5 megapixel camera on the front. It's running CyanogenMod Mod 11S, and it's the best phone ever.
All right, let's stop all of this.
And let's get to the champion of the three, which is the brand new Nokia Lumia 930. It's actually the new flagship device from Nokia. It sports a 5-inch AMOLED display with a full HD 1080p resolution. It's based on a Qualcomm Snapdragon 800, which is still one of the fastest SoCs that is out there. It comes with 2 GB of RAM and definitely delivers enough power to run the latest games and all the applications that you might need. Not only that you have a 1-megapixel camera on the front, which is definitely good enough for Instagram selfies, but as I said, the PureView technology, that's a 20-megapixel camera that we already saw on the Nokia Lumia 1520. It also has an optical image stabilizer and gives you the capability to shoot full HD 1080p videos.
That sounds nice, but let's put them to the real test. Camera comparison.
Sit here for even 10 minutes or more.
And here we go, finally, meeting the sausage lady. And as a German, you know, I have to know what a good sausage is all about. This is definitely one delicious pork sausage. And she's having like the special sauce he's putting on top of it. And then, As you can see, it's a quite fatty pork sausage, but the combination of Southeast Asian spices plus this homemade sauce, it is just so unbelievably delicious, trust me.
After all this buzz of Shenzhen and Taipei and something, you know, we want to make sure that you have some time to rest your mind, your soul, and look a little bit beyond this.
And live in the future a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talking about new technologies, perceptual computing, the way we're going to interact with computers in the future, which is not only based anymore on this input-output system, or let's say more of this input system that we're basically using for 100 years, which is our keyboard, but more about how we interact with voice and gestures and touch and eye tracking. And Nicole, you sat down today?
I sat down for an hour and a half.
Look at you.
Yeah, with Anil. Well, he's the head of the perceptual computing and the drones for Intel. And we've known him actually since 2008. He's the guy that I would see at the press conferences and I'd be like, what's in your pocket?
Yeah.
Because he'd always have something in his pocket.
He always had some prototypes.
Some prototype in his pocket. And I would always be like, kid, don't be creepy, Nicole, because you can't put your hand in his jacket pocket to see what's in there. You really want to.
No, he was very, very supportive for us in the past and just giving us some device, some hands-on time, and more time that you could actually spend with the devices on the show floor or after the press conference when you have like all these people around you pushing and dragging on you.
And I remember, I think it was back in 2009 maybe, around the first time that I around close to the beginning that I met him, he let me try out WoW on his smartphone. Right, you know, like
yeah. That was the first.
Like this was revolutionary back in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah, that was the
World
first.
of Warcraft on a smartphone.
Yeah, that was the first. No, actually, it wasn't the first one. Not sure. I think it was Mustang.
I think it was Mustang.
At that time, that was the first kind of prototypes of an Intel smartphone. It was that thick.
Yeah.
Had a battery life of maybe like
an hour.
An hour max. But you know what? Doesn't matter. It was running World of Warcraft. It was like, holy shit. Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think we even have this video.
Oh, we
right?
do have this video.
Let's take a quick look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
platform, you get both. Okay. So this is a quick open arena, and as you can see, it'll start going through the demo. And important to note here is we're getting up to about 90 frames per second on this handheld device. Okay. 90 frames per second. That's pretty good. It's pretty awesome. And that's not it. That's a lot of folks do think that. That's not even the top end of the performance on these devices. Here we're going to show it in another demo mode. It's getting up to about 120 frames per second on devices like the 7-inch OLED. That's really a lot of folks. That is pretty awesome performance right there. The next thing we're going to show you, we're talking about 1080p content. And we're going to show you, this is a clip of Avatar, 1080p high profile. As you can see, it looks stunning. That does look very nice. Absolutely. And so the next thing we're going to show you is an application called Scalado. And it's a picture viewing application. Basically, you're doing full resolution pictures. And these are not thumbnails. These are actually 3 to 5 megapixel pictures on this that you can rearrange. You don't want to ask you to slow down because you're probably going to lose the audience that with all of these clips. Absolutely. So we can reorder them. We can zoom in on them as well. And it takes a lot of processing power to do this. So that's an actual picture. All that collage of pictures that you were showing. Each one on that thumbnail was an actual full resolution picture. Actual. You were zooming in real time. Yes. Very cool. Very cool. And so this is also something that no other device on the market can do. So as we were doing this collage, the Avatar video was actually running in the background. So this is true multitasking. Okay. So while you were doing collage, the HD video that you were playing before was running in the background. Absolutely. Okay. That's multitasking. That is multitasking. True multitasking. And the last thing I want to show you is the performance on the graphic side that we gave in the Western platform. This is an application called Imagination. We'll get it back. But basically, it's an application called Imagination. It renders in real time, not just the full screen. In each one of those windows, it's rendering in real time on this device. So you're doing multiple things, textures, and things like that on the device at the same time. Very cool. As I said, we're about 3x on most benchmarks over the competition. All right. So fantastic. Happy with that? Wait. I don't know if you can see that. Can you guys see that? I mean, that's real-time responsiveness, and it's rendering it. I can actually do this here. Do this. Can you guys see that? I don't know if I can see that. Okay. Pretty incredible. That is pretty incredible, right? So that's what the performance can do from a graphics CPU standpoint. That's the delivery capability in terms of what area we get more time. Do you have anything else? Listen, yes, we got it for right now. Okay, thank you.
Oh, and you guys just saw our old intro.
Oh my God, that was Netbook News. Yeah.
Playback, or back in the day. Our love of the small form factor computing hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everyone's like, oh, Netbook's dead. I'm like, actually, no, Netbook is back.
Yeah.
Netbook is
you have
totally
all the
back.
Surface 3, T100 HA, Acer, Aspire, or the Switch 10,
the Switch 10.
all of this. It's still there. This
It's
form.
still
No,
there.
actually,
They
it
just-
came back.
It
really came back, which is good.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a need for people to have like a super compact 10-inch affordable device for around $200, right?
And now they've had so much time to get the keyboard right, where
Yeah.
they can go edge to edge.
Yeah.
And 10 inches actually can provide a full...
I have something.
Oh.
Wait.
Oh my
I need to grab it. I need to grab it.
The stream's really live. Oh, look what we just had.
Talking seriously. No. Stop all of this. Seriously, talking about a netbook. This is, Jesus, let me see. This was, what was the real name of it? Here, Samsung NC110P. This was the very, very last netbook that Samsung released. Actually, we also have the very last EPC there. Look here, on the right side. No, on the right side.
I don't know the right side.
Yeah, the right side is where your thumb is on the left.
This one here?
Yes.
Look who we have just hanging around our office.
Okay. Let me quickly just turn this. Ooh, oh my God! This is Nicole. Now you have to help me on this one. Jesus. I'm sorry. Someone needs to help us now. Oh my God.
That's what you get for drinking all these beers.
No, this is why I just love to do more pre-recordings, right? So, and can you turn this around? So, okay, here we go, guys. So this was the last series of from Samsung, the very last netbook, and look what a beauty this is. Look at this keyboard. This is an edge-to-edge keyboard. Everyone is bragging about the MacBook, the new MacBook keyboard. Yeah. Oh, look at this! Holy shit! I've seen this already ages ago. Yeah. So this was the last Samsung. Had a beautiful matte screen. It was based on the Intel Atom N2700 at that time, which was a dual core but with hyper-threading. So you actually had 4 threads.
Oh.
Right?
This guy's heavy.
This was the very, very last EPC.
Yeah.
And look at this keyboard. Same. I think Apple is the biggest goddamn copycat on this planet. Look at this beautiful keyboard. Once again, matte screen. I squeezed 4 gigs of RAM in here. Oh, you know what? This wasn't the last one. It was in the one case. Because this is one, this is based on the AMD Brazos APU.
Never mind. Remember
we have the first one.
The first one?
This is the first one. Look at this. EPC 701.
Oh, back in the day.
Back in the days.
Back in the
Anyways,
day.
I want to have a new beer. Later. I'm going to grab one after. I'm going to grab one later.
Well, so we were going to talk about. We started talking about Anil.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and like back in the day when we saw the very first Intel smartphone. So actually today, I would sit down with him for an hour and a half. So I shortened my amazing hour and a half experience into 20 some odd minutes, where we really get into the future of computing, right? Yeah. So using the RealSense technology and just like depth perception and the way that you can kind of morph camera technology into a really useful modern day kind of aid, right? Yeah. And the new, and like kind of like kissing on the new way of how we can interact with our computers. I mean, the camera that's in there, it captures crazy amounts of data. What we're seeing right now is only like a snippet of what's possible. I mean, that the camera on there is actually capable of pupil tracking, right? So that you can maybe be looking at one part of the screen, and then you can maybe like do an action on the keyboard or a gesture or whatever it is, so that your mouse point can just move over. Yeah. Right? And so like these types of things, without having to move your mouse or move your hand, you can maybe move your eyes and have like a gesture based on that. So I mean, like these are the possibilities of where we're going with this. So we kind of get in, like, and this is why it was so long, because it's just so exciting to talk to him about his concept of how he's gonna take Intel into the future with the new wave. I don't know, I'm so excited, guys. I'm a fangirl, baby.
She's not stopping. You know what, guys, let's just watch the interview. It's like almost 30 minutes, but trust me, you're gonna like it. It's all about the future.
Hi, I'm Anil Nanduri from Intel. I'm the Director of Products and Marketing at Perceptual Computing Group that makes all the RealSense technology. Okay, what we wanted to show you right now is all the devices that are in market with RealSense technology. Wanted to give you a sneak peek of some of the interesting applications that are coming and are already, many of them are in the market already, and some of them are coming into market, and show you the amazing things that the 3D technology can do in a PC form factor or an all-in-one form factor. In this use case, we typically tend to call the camera as a user-facing camera. So in this scenario, you expect the camera to work in about a 3 feet personal zone, where the user is sitting up close and personal to the computer, and he's interacting with the computer like he would normally do. And there are many interesting cases where the 3D camera starts to apply. The first case is that, okay, the first thing you do when you get to a PC is to log in. What the 3D camera can now do is, because there's a 3D depth map it is taking, a camera like this. This is what we call the RealSense 3D camera F200. This is already launched and is in market. We have almost 25 devices in market today, and more coming with Skylake platforms. Now, with this, first thing you want to do is be able to see how you can avoid having to type a password. The depth map and the 3D mesh that you have of a person helps create a very secure way to authenticate yourself to the platform. And because there's infrared in the system, it also works in very different lighting conditions. And so the capabilities of the RealSense technology is what enabled Microsoft with Windows 10 to enable face unlock with the Windows Hello feature. So it's a very secure way to unlock the capability. We also support the same capability with the Intel TrueKey software for not having to have passwords. So imagine the ideal world of having a time where you don't need to remember your passwords, and having a very secure way that you feel comfortable that is authenticating you. The RealSense technology can enable that. So that's the first kind of a use case where this technology can help. The next thing you want to do is, a lot of people use video conferencing. Now, video conferencing has this, quite often when I'm trying to call my mom up, or my mom wants to do a video conference with me, I'm like, wait a minute, give me 10 minutes. And the first thing I'm doing is cleaning up the bed behind me, or moving up the laundry, or cleaning up the clutter in the house. Quite often you don't do video conferencing, not because you don't want to, but because the environment you are in doesn't feel suitable for you. Another situation where you sometimes end up is that, hey, you are in your office, and you're in a confidential environment, and you don't want someone to see what's behind you. You're in the front of a lab, you're in front of a factory, and you don't want someone looking at, or a whiteboard where there's very extremely financial information. You don't want people to see what's over there. And then in some other cases, it's about you yourself don't feel comfortable because you didn't have a shower, or you did not shave, and you don't feel like you want to present yourself in the video conferencing. Now, with the 3D technology, with Intel RealSense 3D technology, what we can do is extract the person out of the background, which means that I can change the background to whatever background I would like to do. I could also interact with an avatar real time, and versus having the other person see me, I can present an avatar, a 3D avatar of myself, and I can control the avatar, so to the person on the other line is actually talking to my avatar and not really looking at me with my unshaved look. So all these kinds of use cases is also possible. Now, a use case like Twitch, where video streaming and for gamers is a very huge application. Now, with things like open broadcasting software, a lot of people today use a green screen for broadcasting. So they like to have their own private green screen. With the 3D technology now, you can actually take the person off, not need all that complicated equipment to do the green screening, and you can do it right in front of sitting of a laptop. So we're going to show you some of those examples through a demos in the next few minutes. So what Nicole has here is a video conferencing that you typically do today. This is what Nicole is. She sees the background. I am here, and you have this little hotel room that we are in where we are doing this video shoot. Now, what Nicole can do is she has the Intel RealSense technology-enabled PC here, and with that, she can do some interesting magic here. The first thing she can do is hide the background. So now Nicole is in a field, so you can't see me anymore, though I am right here behind. If you want to toggle back and forth, Nicole. Yeah. There you go, that's me here. And there I'm gone, right? So this gives you a very secure and private environment. You don't have to show what's behind you, and you can be at home. You have clutter of a bedroom behind you, and you don't have to worry about other people seeing you. Okay, now, interestingly enough, Dimitri, who's chatting with Nicole on the other side, okay, he didn't shave today, or he feels he's not comfortable enough to do a video conferencing, so he doesn't want you to see him. So what he would like you to chat with, he wants to chat with an avatar. So what we have here is, obviously this is us, Nicole and myself. But Dimitri has actually transformed himself to an avatar mode. And he can talk. Dimitri, can you blow a kiss to Nicole? Can you close your eyes? Can you raise your eyebrows? So this is real time happening on Dimitri's side. And he is on the other laptop, as you saw earlier, chatting really through Skype interface. Now Dimitri can become a robot. Now he seems to be in a grumpy mood, and so he wants to be someone more mean. Or how about this, an orc? So all these are, at a click of a switch, he's able to change these avatars and to choose. So imagine the possibility of not only having your own avatar, you could also choose any different avatars you would like to have as part of your conversation. And by the way, Nicole now can change the background, and she can hide the background first. And now she can be in space, or in the field, or in the snow, or at the beach. And she could be at the beach and saying that she's at work. So what Nicole is interacting right now is with Face Shift. It's actually an avatar control application. So she is actually controlling this avatar real time and being able to blink, close her eyes, raise the eyebrows, blow a kiss. And because of Intel RealSense 3D camera, you could do this real time since the camera has ability to track different elements of the face as well as be able to run at 60 frames a second. And you can change avatars by hitting this, or you could be this, or you could be this. So this reminds me of the character in Men in Black.
It does. Yeah, it really does. I like how his ears flop.
Yeah. All right, so that's another application that's coming to the market. This is not launched yet, but FaceShift is working towards bringing this as a product for end users. So using the RealSense technology and the F200 camera that goes to PCs and all-in-ones, we so far talked about two of the key usages. One is about secure face login, so you can log in without having to type a password. The second one was about video conferencing and extending it to online gaming, sharing, and including avatar chat. The next thing that the 3D technology can also do is can do very amazing 3D scans. You can actually scan yourself and insert yourself into very interesting characters. And what we're going to do now is actually have Nicole scan herself, and we will choose her the character that she would like to be, and we're going to do that in a minute. And we took a 3D scan of Nicole, and this is Nicole in 3D that we just did here just a little bit earlier. And you can also see her earrings and the fine features and accuracy. Now this is in a mesh lab. This is actually a 3D mesh, so you can actually print this, and it is not a stitched photo view. This is actually taken with the Intel RealSense 3D camera with a real depth map. This is what the video conferencing can extend to with the 3D technology. Now it doesn't have to stop here. So this is how we do video conferencing, but a lot of people do gaming and use social sharing and being able to interact with online content. So using the RealSense 3D technology, I can also enable the experience in a gaming interface. So what Dimitri now has is he's actually segmented himself off the background, and he's actually playing a game, and it's running with the open broadcasting software. So this can actually be streamed without the need for a green screen in front of the PC. And you can also have multiplayer gaming where you could all be playing online poker, and you want to have to see them as well as not just play the cards. You can actually share with your friends online, and you could have all your bobbleheads real time watching the expression as you play poker and lose a hand or win a hand. And what you have to do is just use your head to actually navigate. And there are some ramps that show up, and then you jump into the sky, and then you also use and there's a ramp. No, okay, there's a ramp. Yeah, now he has to collect coins. Now he uses his hands.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So what we did was, as I talked about the usages for the camera, the Intel RealSense 3D camera for the PCs and all-in-ones, for secure unlock, for video conferencing and extending it beyond collaboration, as well as avatar chats. Also 3D scanning and sharing, and you can also print those into different characters. And last but not the least, gaming. And every new technology, there's a lot of fun ways to interact with gaming. So we got a wide range of games from Lego to DreamWorks with their Move It title. This is the King Julian from the Madagascar series. So we have many, many more games in the market. In fact, we're tracking over 65 applications coming towards this year into the market. Quite a few are already available. You can go to www.intel.com/RealSense. You can see what devices are in the market, what apps are available, and all the capabilities of RealSense technology all available in one-stop shop. So now we talked about the PCs. Where we want to go is into tablets and the mobile form factors. So what we want to go and show Nicole is that these are devices yet to be launched, and we are tracking towards bringing them out later in the year. And we can show you when you take a 3D camera and put it at the back of the tablet, which sees the world around it, what you could do with it. Let me show you what the example of a camera is. So we have two different camera technologies. This is the camera technology we spoke up until now. This is what goes into the PC. It works about 1 meter in range, which is about 3 feet or so. It actually has fine gesture control. It can track the full hand skeleton of a person, and does the video conferencing and other use cases that I mentioned earlier. We also have this other camera technology. This is what we call the Intel RealSense 3D camera R200. This is targeted for mobile devices, including tablets. This works longer range. It also works outdoors. What we're going to show you is some of the examples where now when I'm in a mobile form factor, I can hold it and I can scan around an object. I can scan around a person, so I can do a full scan of you, and I can also scan the room and the environment around us. So why do I need those? What will happen is with these, when you have depth sensing capabilities in a tablet, you can bring new capabilities to the end user. First of all, a lot of people use tablets and mobile devices to take photos and videos. When I take a photo, I can use the depth information that comes from the RealSense 3D technology and then be able to then add effects. I can lens blur. I can give you a depth of field effect. I can do coloring the background, so basically keep the person in black and white and the rest of the background in color, or the other way around. I could also refocus on different people in the scene. Why? How can I do that? Because the information is captured as you take a photograph. You can also do this with video because the depth information is at 60 frames a second and video is at 30 frames a second. I can apply the same filtering and think of it as Instagram for videos. How cool that would be. Make a video that you take and make it look like a cartoon. So you can actually do that with the depth camera technology. We can do 3D scanning. As you know, the 3D ecosystem is becoming very prominent. People would love to see objects in 3D. The whole world is in 3D. We see, as humans see in 3D, if you give that same capability to the compute devices as well, you can now scan the world in 3D. You can scan your room, you can redecorate it. You can see how often do you go to a store like an IKEA and wonder whether that piece of furniture will fit in your house. because of the 3D technology, you can have accurate measurements of your room, and you could be out there and saying, wait a minute, let me see how does it look in my room, and it can actually do those kinds of capabilities and use cases for the user. It can also do measurements. You can also, how often do you look for your measuring tape? The tablet or the phone in your hand could be your measuring tool. You could also do scanning people, and when I scan you in 3D, I can print, I can share, or I can also insert you into a game title. You can actually import yourself into a game. How cool would it be to play a game with my friends and us as the characters versus having an animated character that was pre-designed? So these are the kinds of amazing capabilities that the 3D camera can bring. So there are many times you like to measure objects and you always wonder, where is the measuring tape? I'm always, you kind of, oh, that looks like 2 feet, that looks like 1 feet. Now, if you had your tablet with you, which we always carry around, or a mobile device, I can actually measure real time. So what I'm trying to do here is, we all know that's a 13-inch laptop, but then, you want to know exactly, did you get 13-inch of laptop? And there you go, 13.23. It's actually a 13.3-inch screen there, and we could measure that real time. Now, but then that's okay, fine, I can see that and I measured it. What I can also do is I can take a picture of it, okay, and I can save the picture, and now I can actually, because the picture already has depth information, turn towards the camera so you can see it. Okay, he's showing you, and there's the measurement. He's kind of didn't pick the right edge there, but this is just showing the technology. This is not the actual application, but the application then has all the UI and how to make it easy for the user, and you get what, 13.47? Yeah, that's about, he's gone a little above that. Now, quite often what happens is that, wait a minute, okay, I get that, but then I want to measure from this edge of the table to the other edge. What do I need to do? So what he's going to do is he's going to pick that edge. I'm going to say, okay, from that part of the table, keep in mind now the tablet's no longer seeing that side of the table, right? And he's come to this side of the table, and he can go back, and he knows that the edge is marked, and it tells you that's 56.98 inches from there to here, right? And that's what the 3D technology can provide to you, and it's also using the motion sensor inside so it can track the scene. Right. Again, this is the technology behind it. What the final application will be is taking this technology and making it into end-user friendly application. So JD.com had an interesting proposal, was that they want to be able to measure objects as they come through. They also want to measure boxes as they go through their warehouses. So the RealSense capability brings very fine measurements and very accurate measurements. It can also tell you what size of a box you can pack with on a certain object, or you can measure the size of a box as it goes. So one of the interesting things is that quite a few times when during transportation and logistics, it's very difficult to know how to stack up different size boxes most efficiently into a truck or into a container or into some kind of a pallet. What this gives you is the ability to measure all these boxes up front, and I can show you a demo later, and then be able to then figure out and computers can run the algorithms and do the stack up and say to the user, saying just put this box first, put this box next, put this here. It can guide the people as they pack how efficiently to pack. So a lot of interesting use cases around this. JD.com is a great partner. They want to be able to measure through their warehouses as well, and wanted to use RealSense technology with it. So what Dimitri is showing now is how we can measure boxes. And so there are some boxes on the table here, and just pointing it to it or changing to a different box, you can see how it quickly tells you what the box size is. And the interesting thing about this application is also, once you measure the box, you can also take quick pictures of it, which saves the parameters of the size. And yeah, that's fine. And tells you how you can stack it. As we add more boxes, it tells you how to put, the stack of the boxes more efficiently. Now that's all in software, so you can run different kinds of algorithms based on how you want to stack it. You want to stack it for volume, you want to stack it for, put all the big ones at the bottom. So now the computer softwares can decide, okay, based on the situation or the scenario, what the user wants or the business wants, what kind of parameters of stacking they want to use. But the key thing is that you have all this data for you to use. But also, before you even get to that airport, the airlines have information how to load up the plane and then load up the cargo because they could measure everything. So that's the future at some point, where everything's done ahead of time and you just show up and everything's packed and ready to go. Now, sometimes you also want to scan the environment around you. So we want to scan this room. So just like you kind of do a little spray painting, you just have to point the tablet across the scene, and what it's doing is real-time constructing that in 3D. And then he can pause it, and he can show you that that's indeed the 3D model. And as this is a very, very pre-alpha version of the technology, but when we get this to the market, you'll actually be able to then use this information for scanning in your rooms and other. We always like to play fun games with any device, and that goes with a tablet with a 3D camera as well. So what Dimitri has done here is actually brought a little robot to interact with the table that's in front of us. Okay, but then I feel like driving a car, so he's going to swap it and say, okay, but what happens in the real world? Oops, that's the edge of a table, right? So the car should fall off. That's exactly what it does. And then how do I cross over from that edge to the other? And oh, by the way, before you jump into it, I would like you to show how it can hide behind a box. Okay, so if you put that helicopter over there.
Oh, yeah, there it goes.
Yeah, so if it's behind the box, hold it. Can you go over to the other side? To the other side and show the angle from behind the box. And like a real world, you're not supposed to see it, and you don't see it. So it's occluded by the object in front. And why you can do that is because you have the depth information. Okay, now you can see the shadows. You can see, even the helicopter can go off the scene.
Wow.
He can go off the scene and bring it back in. And it's still flying over there, and you can bring it over there, you can see, and he's bringing it down there. Okay, and now if you go back to the robot, and he's come down, now you want to jump off the edge of the table, and he'll fall off the table. Right, so that's how it's meant to work in the real world. So imagine how your room or your world around you now becomes the environment for the game itself. Again, this is a concept. This is not an end user game, but the idea here is to show how this capability of a depth sensing Intel RealSense 3D camera can help. So as you can see, we talked about the PCs, but this camera is into tablets, and we showed some of the capabilities, what you can do in the tablets. Moving forward, you'll also see these in phablets and phones. This is where the capabilities of the RealSense 3D camera could also be used. But we don't stop there. These are all the compute devices for consumers in the client space. But because of these camera technologies have a lot more interesting applications, they work outdoors. One of the biggest problems in the ecosystem for drones is about safety and collision avoidance. It's an unsolved problem, and a lot of people are really trying to do that. But with RealSense cameras, you can actually put it on a drone, and now the drone can see. And so you're bringing the human-like vision to the flying systems as well. Now they can see trees outside, they can avoid them, they can see buildings, they can see people, and they can decide how much far away from them they have to be at. So those kinds of opportunities now RealSense technology can bring. Even with robotics, where you want to navigate and you want to be able to go around your house or in your office environment, self-navigating robots now with the capabilities of depth sensing become a reality. There are many more use cases where anything from the factory automation to interactive kiosks to robotics to drones, all these where RealSense and depth sensing technologies can apply. what this world would look like in future would be where the human computing interfaces would become more natural. They would understand us better, and they would actually assist us in making our lives better. And I think that's the wonderful future. And to do all that, you do two things. First of all, you need to give the human-like senses to these systems, and vision is one of the key elements of how human-like sensing comes to this technology. And the second one is you need to have compute. And with the advancement of Moore's Law and the 50th anniversary of Moore's Law, what's really happening is that that computing performance that you're getting into the form factors to the size of a Quark processor, an Edison processor, those in future in wearables, headsets, virtual reality, augmented reality, that computing with the combination of these human-like senses brings this technology and the use cases to life.
So what was I wrong? Did you guys? I wasn't wrong. I mean, that was totally. I loved it. Guys, shut up. When my RealSense drone flies around a forest, you guys are going to be super jealous. All I'm saying, if you didn't like it.
I wanted to say something, and now I totally forgot about it.
Well, you wanted to show them your new favorite thing in Taiwan. The Gogoro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You can't
So
stop talking about it.
3 or 4 weeks ago, I was flying back from Las Vegas to Taipei, and in the United Lounge, which are wherever you are in the world, the shittiest lounges of these airports. Right? It's just, you know, when you're and I love United. Right? I'm constantly flying on United, but their lounges are just terrible and cheap. All you're getting for breakfast is like, throughout the day is like 3 different cheeses that are wrapped up in plastic. You're getting a plastic bag of carrots and some crackers. And in the morning they have these bagels with Philadelphia cheese or something like that. Cheese spread.
I do love cream cheese though.
Yeah, but still, I mean, God, when you're going to a Lufthansa lounge, you're going to a Singapore, you're going to an EVA Air lounge, right? It's just, Jesus.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm your loyal customer. Could you please treat me that makes me feel like you care about me? Because I'm spending my money on you.
And in the Singapore Airlines lounge, it's that laksa noodle soup for lunch.
Oh.
It's actually better than a lot of restaurants do.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So good.
So whenever we're in San Francisco, we're just skipping the United Lounge and going straight to the Singapore Airlines, which is a little bit hidden. Yeah.
And you can only go in there if you're flying international. Because once I flew San Francisco domestic, and I'm like, wait, I can't come in here.
Yeah.
It's a little pissed about that.
That is ridiculous. Anyways,
so you were
while I was in the lounge, I picked up a Business Traveler magazine. Look at me, the Business Traveler. Bullshit. I always feel a little bit overdressed.
Yeah, I feel underdressed.
Well, anyways, I picked up this magazine. There was a small little article about Gogoro, and I knew that I've heard of them. So Gogoro is a company that is here from Taiwan, and basically they're a little bit like the Tesla for scooters. And they're building up a whole ecosystem. And in my opinion, it just gives you an idea into the future, or look at the future of Tesla. Because I think this is not about cars. This is not about scooters. This is all about battery and the supply chain, and how we're gonna store energy of the future, and how we're gonna recharge those batteries in the future. And they have a flagship store over here. They start their pilot program here in Taipei. And next to the Adidas 101 basketball court, I've had a little bit of a test track. And we went there. So check it out.
guys, Sasha from Mobile Geeks here. Actually, we're not at a real store. The flagship store is downtown, roughly about a 5 minutes walk away from here. We're next to the Computex show. We are at Gogoro. Gogoro is an amazing startup that is kind of, I would say, the Tesla of scooters. They publicly launched back in January during CES or right before CES, and over here they have a little bit of a test track. So, this is all about, not only about the scooter, but this is more about a battery infrastructure. That's what I would say, right? We already saw this kind of add-on funds here in the back because you can even customize your Gogoro scooter. It's a Taiwanese company, heavily funded, by the way, by Cher Wang. She's the CEO of HTC right now. They received $150 million funding. And let me show you a little bit about the scooter. It first of all looks a little bit like an ordinary scooter, right? But this is all electric. And it's seriously, it's not about the scooter. In my opinion, it's definitely all about the batteries. Let me just switch it on here and just open this. This is where the juice is. So you can just lift those batteries up here. Look at this. They're quite heavy, right? You can even use them for a workout. And then they have recharging stations all over the city. So you can take those two batteries out, push them into the charging station, and pick up some two other ones and get them back into your Gogoro scooter. Range 40 kilometers when you're driving roughly around 50 kilometers, which is absolutely good enough, especially here in Taipei City, which kind of seems to me like one of the scooter capitals in the world. Can't tell you anything about the pricing right now, can't tell you when they're really gonna put it on sale, but in general, how they did all of this and even how the flagship store looks like is absolutely amazing. We're gonna do another video of it very, very soon, but we just saw it coming out of the Computex show. And what we're gonna show you right now is a little bit about the test track and those guys driving around. Okay. So talking about the recharging station, the Gogoro or Go Station, this is how it looks like. It also comes here with this little display that tells you, oh, the Gogoro store is now opening, which is just around the corner. Those are batteries, right? So I could basically just, no, I can't grab one. You have to put some in before you can take one away. You know what? Thank God, we're just getting one. Here we go. See? So you're just taking it, you're putting it into the station, and now it gives you an idea about the status of it. And now you have another 15 seconds time to get the second one in. Here we go. See that? So both of them are in. And then it just tells you about the status of the recharging. And look at this. Now I just got two new ones. I take them with me and put them back into my scooter. There we go. And now you have another 40 kilometers. It just takes you 10 seconds to do this. They want to deploy those Go stations all over Taiwan. At least they're starting with Taipei right now. And I think this concept is absolutely amazing, especially in a city that is, in terms of the traffic, so dependent on these scooters. They are everywhere. This was a little impression. We're definitely going to do another video of the Gogoro scooter.
So the other outdoor event that I had today was I started the morning at a smart building.
Okay.
Right, so I went all the way up to Nehu, which from the Taipei 101 is about a 20-minute drive, and it's just across the river. And I got to see a smart building. So this is from it was ECS, and they're actually a not so quality manufacturer of a lot of different gadgets, laptops through down to smartphones, IoT as well. But the building actually was running on Intel's Gateway. Right, so there was just a bunch of Quark processors all over the place. So I got to spend a few minutes there. I made a very, very, very short video about it because it was kind of a rushed trip. But
Quark processors. That kind of reminds me of Deep Space Nine, right? This Ferengi Quark who was running this bar. Quarks.
No, never mind. In the real sense thing, I became a Klingon. I mean, you haven't seen it, but I have crazy cleavage as a Klingon, right, guys? So anyways, let's check out this smart building because, well, it was actually my first time seeing something that had like so much integration in it.
Let's do this.
We all know that smart cities are coming, but they're going to start with smart buildings. Here in the Nehu district of Taipei, which is kind of just north of the 101, we're visiting ECS. And they've actually made this building smart about six or 7 months ago. So we're going to check out the gateway system that they've installed that is actually running on the Quark SoC and to see exactly what the future of smart cities look like. So we're down here in the smart parking lot. Well, there's actually a lot of sensors. So when the car drives in through that entrance back there, it goes over an anti-pressure coil. And then there's a camera that will read the license plate. And then there's some sensors actually up in the roof when the car comes into the spot. So it can know whether or not that plate is supposed to be in this spot. Well, maybe. So back here behind me we have, well, it's not like a control panel, but it is a giant information panel letting you know about the health of the building. We see how much power was used the previous day, how much power the solar panels are taking in, and how much rainwater has been accumulated, and what the air quality is like outside. I know there's a few cities where that's pretty helpful.
So that was a smart building.
That was a smart building. It would better have been smart because it was so early that I was not clever.
Due to the fact that this is going to be our last stream of Computex.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is going to be our last stream in general. So if you like this kind of format of us just talking about videos and things that we experienced and created, just leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and let us know how you like this, and if you want to see maybe something like this as a format on a weekly or monthly basis or whatever.
Yeah, like, do you guys like us sitting here showing you stuff? Leave us a comment. Sasha will do some more
showing you some amazing technology firsthand.
Wait, what can I find? Oh, I have a Rubik's Cube. I can find a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. we have it all here.
We have quite
Seriously,
some stuff.
We could constantly
We have quite some stuff.
Look at this. I just found it again.
Oh, remember when everyone made fun of the streak?
Everyone made fun out of the streak. 5-inch.
It looks enormous. Look at my tiny flip phone with its 1.4-inch display.
Yeah. So the Dell Streak was a little bit of a game changer.
Yeah.
It was like a mini tablet, right? Running Android, and I just love this one.
What?
The camera was terrible.
What was the connector? Was it a micro USB or was it?
No,
it's
just we need to find it.
Yeah.
We have a problem with finding the right connectors, and I can show you why.
Cables, no, I've hidden them. Oh, don't make a mess. We'll never be able to get it back in.
We love cables. We really love them. Trust me. And
I love them so much.
We have stuff here. We could even just talk about old systems,
Yeah.
new systems, show you old stuff, play around with it again. I actually recently recharged my
HP touchpad. You did
the
that
HP
one.
touchpad running on WebOS. We still have BlackBerry playbooks over here. Oh my God, look, we're just talking about BlackBerry.
Well, we still have
I'm super excited right
the
now,
BlackBerry
as you can tell.
Porsche, that brand, and we haven't even taken that out of the box. Right, so actually this could, like, if we started doing this regularly for you guys, we might actually just start to, like, take stuff out of boxes.
Look at this.
Just random shit out of boxes for you all the time. I mean, part of the problem with making all of these videos is that it takes us time, right? If we want to make, like, a high quality video for you, it doesn't exactly happen in, like, 5 minutes. And we have, like, other stuff to do, like clean the office.
Yeah.
Clean out, dust our gadgets. So if we started doing this more
First
for
Kindle.
you, first Kindle,
Kindle
we
Fire.
could actually, you know, like, take these things out of the boxes and answer your questions live. Definitely. So where were we going with this live stream, anyways?
I don't know. What's baking?
Nothing. I think we're just done. I mean, like, it's been.
You went to NVIDIA today.
Oh yes, that's what was cooking. Yeah, so I went to NVIDIA today, and so the thing is, at MWC, I got to try on the HTC Vive, right? And this had, like, 36 sensors, and it was like an Oculus Rift on steroids, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually the Rift, it was something else, because it had extra sensors put
Yeah.
into it. And the way that the Vive works is it actually has a sensor array that maps the room. So when you get close to the walls, a grid will pop up, right? So the first thing that happens is a white grid shows up, and it's like you're on the holodeck. Now, we have been having a discussion about the potential of virtual reality, and the Vive is actually one of the first products that has gotten us re-excited about virtual reality. So now he stopped by the NVIDIA booth yesterday, and then I stopped by today. So I wanted to bring it up again because I hadn't tried it, so I wasn't prepared to kind of talk to you about it. But the thing is, the thing about it is it wasn't as good as the Vive because they didn't go all in, right? They gave you a small sensor. It wasn't a Kinect, but it was something else where you had a small square, so you could move around in it. But I think they picked a crap demo. I mean, it was an amazing demo when I screamed, right? So there's a robot. Right?
Oh, you know, this kind of.
Yeah, and the car flipping above you, and you see the guy in the car.
Yeah.
So many things about it.
That was amazing.
No, amazing. But because I've been testing so much VR, I turned around, right, to, like, check to see the angles and stuff.
Yeah.
And because the demo is continuously moving forward and I'm not moving, I felt sick.
Okay, gotcha.
Right,
Gotcha.
so, like, they half went all in, and then to be honest with you, NVIDIA didn't revolutionize anything. All they did was make the graphics card capable, or make the Rift capable of achieving higher frame rates.
I mean, this is what's running on a GTX 980 Ti.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but Oculus is saying that the overall system means the glasses and your PC will be about $1,500 US. And they said that the minimum specs, or the specs that can run everything, will be a GTX 970. From what I saw at the NVIDIA virtual VR experience, good luck to do this on a GTX 970. That's so not gonna happen. Seriously.
It's so not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I actually did the
If you
demo.
want to play Pong on it, go for it.
Yeah. So I actually did the demo 3 times.
Yeah.
Because I made a video, right, where I'm filming myself. And then the first time I went, so I did it the first time. I didn't film myself. And I forgot to hit record, so I had to do it again.
Yeah.
So I really, like, stressed the system. I crouched down to see if the distance visually stayed the same with the car when it was going, and it did, right? So, like, it stayed high, it looked higher.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But when I went closer to the cars and, like, was, like, you know, trying to pass through stuff to see how it would react, it glitched, right? So suddenly the car that I was leaning into was 6 feet away, right? Or the rock that I got too close to was suddenly flat and not 3D.
I mean,
right? So, I mean, to go into a lower graphics card with somebody who's actually trying to interact with it and move was impossible. If you're standing there, maybe.
It will give you a lot of limitations, and it will give developers a lot of limitations.
Yeah.
I don't even...
This Mobile Geeks video is powered by ASUS.
Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks. I'm at the NVIDIA Ballroom at the Grand Hyatt at Computex 2015, and I'm about to go in and check out their new demo for virtual reality. Now, I have to admit that I'm a huge fan of what HTC is doing with the Vive. All of the sensors on the headset and the sensors that lay out the room make it a holodeck experience that you can actually walk around. Now, NVIDIA is showing something very similar now. They have a sensor that's actually mapping you out as well, but it doesn't let you know where the edges of the room are, and it just makes it so that you can kind of interact with the demo by moving around and taking some steps and moving back and forth. Now, I really did try to push the boundaries of this kind of technology by ducking down and moving quite quickly. And to be honest with you, there was a lot of pushback in the graphics. Like suddenly the car was significantly further, and then suddenly some of the rocks were kind of flat. Now, NVIDIA isn't actually making the Oculus Rift better, because that's exactly what it is. This is an Oculus Rift. So we're kind of bound to how good the Oculus Rift technology is. But what NVIDIA has done is they have their 980 Ti graphics card, but what they're doing is that they're increasing the frame rate so it's a lot smoother, which improves the experience, but they're decreasing the kind of sharpness around the edges, focusing in on the middle, which is completely fine with me because you're focusing on center mass anyways. You're not trying to look at your peripheral vision all the time. And the way that these VR demos are currently structured is when you turn to the side, the graphics haven't actually, they're not huge 3D, they're not like incredibly detailed, because they want you to be focusing on the moving parts, the kind of wow factors, right? So this is already kind of built into the way they're building 3D right now. So that's enough talking. Let me show you what I look like with the demo. And so I'm actually going to talk you through what I see as well as show you what I'm seeing. So here I'm wearing the NVIDIA headset. Right in front of me, I've got the Unreal logo. I can move around. So what's happening is there's a sensor on the wall over here. And so I can kind of move around in the range of the sensor. Now I'm moving forward a little bit, and I kind of wish that I was walking. That would be actually better for my brain. But when I'm kind of moving around this way and looking backwards, I'm still moving back, but I can see all the way around him. And the debris that's flying up over here is definitely in 3D, right? And like the rocks, they have some good texture to them, and coming up from the ground. The spinning and the angles of the rocks actually looks quite good. That rock that just passed looks a bit flat, but these ones actually really have a good 3D shape. Now, analyzing the rest of the scene, it's not that crisp, but for all the action, it actually stays into the foreground quite nicely. Now the explosion here of the car, this is actually really impressive. The flame seems a bit, it could use a bit more detail, but what's cool is, as the car goes past me and I duck down, the car actually stays the same distance, and so it moves relatively. The guy inside his shirt actually has a good amount of detail to it. So actually that car is very cool. Now this robot, I still get terrified every single time. It's enormous, and when I look up it looks even bigger. And this slow moving garbage can. I'm not gonna get afraid this time. I'm not gonna get afraid. It's terrifying. So, what do you guys think? Are you on board with virtual reality? To be honest with you, 2015, this is the first time that I am legitimately, again, excited about a technology. Now, I'm going to tell you my dream. Now, don't go around stealing it. I want to open a Star Trek cafe. Different rooms, and then you can come out to the bar, and I'll serve you Earl Grey martinis and molecular gastronomy and make it like a fabulous evening out at the holodeck. I mean, I think we are approaching a time where the technology is going to be there. So here's me getting stoked about something that's not a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop. Finally, I'm excited about virtual reality. So Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks. I won the Gogoro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You can't
So
stop talking about
about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was flying back from Las Vegas to Taipei, and in the United Lounge, which are, wherever you are in the world, the shittiest lounges of these airports. right? It's just, you know, when you're, and I love United, right? I'm constantly flying on United, but their lounges are just terrible and cheap. All you're getting for breakfast is like, throughout the day is like 3 different cheeses that are wrapped up in plastic. You're getting a plastic bag of carrots and some crackers. And in the morning they have these bagels with Philadelphia cheese or something like that. Cheese spread.
I do love cream cheese though.
Yeah, but still, I mean, God, when you're going to a Lufthansa lounge, you're going to a Singapore, you're going to an EVA Air lounge, right? It's just, Jesus, come on, I'm your loyal customer. Could you please treat me that makes me feel like you care about me? Because I'm spending my money on you.
And in the Singapore Airlines lounge, it's that laksa noodle soup for lunch. It's actually better than a lot of restaurants do.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
So whenever we're in San Francisco, we're just skipping the United Lounge and going straight to the Singapore Airlines, which is a little bit hidden. Yeah.
And you can only go in there if you're flying international. Because once I flew San Francisco domestic, and I'm like, wait, I can't come in here?
Yeah.
It's a little pissed about that.
That is ridiculous. Anyways,
so you were
while I was in the lounge, I picked up a Business Traveler magazine. Look at me, the Business Traveler. Bullshit. I always feel a little bit overdressed.
Yeah, I feel underdressed.
Well, anyways, I picked up this magazine. There was a small little article about Gogoro, and I knew that I've heard of them. So Gogoro is a company that is here from Taiwan, and basically they're a little bit like the Tesla for scooters. And they're building up a whole ecosystem. And in my opinion, it just gives you an idea into the future, or a view, look at the future of Tesla. Because I think this is not about cars. This is not about scooters. This is all about battery and the supply chain, and how we're gonna store energy of the future, and how we're gonna recharge those batteries in the future. And they have a flagship store over here. They start their pilot program here in Taipei. And next to the Adidas 101 basketball court, I've had a little bit of a test track. And we went there. So, chicken. Good?
Good. Then maybe let's shoot a segue, because I'll probably be able to get one more thing done. So the other outdoor event that I had today was I started the morning at a smart building.
Okay.
Right, so I went all the way up to Neihu, which from the Taipei 101 is about a 20-minute drive, and it's just across the river. And I got to see a smart building. So this is from it was ECS, and they're actually a not so quality manufacturer of a lot of different gadgets, laptops through down to smartphones, IoT as well. But the building actually was running on Intel's gateway, right? So there was just a bunch of Quark processors all over the place. So I got to spend a few minutes there. I made a very, very, very short video about it because it was kind of a rushed trip. But
Quark processors. That kind of reminds me of Deep Space Nine, right? This Ferengi Quark who was running this bar. Quarks.
No, never mind. In the real sense thing, I became a Klingon. I mean, you haven't seen it, but I have crazy cleavage as a Klingon, right, guys? So anyways, let's check out this smart building because, well, it was actually my first time seeing something that had like so much integration in it.
Let's do this.
So edit that out, and then we can end it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
okay, let's do it.
We can also talk about virtual. I'm ready to talk about VR with you again because I did the NVIDIA thing today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a smart building.
That was a smart building. It would better have been smart because it was so early that I was not clever.
Due to the fact that this is going to be our last stream of Computex.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is going to be our last stream in general. So if you like this kind of format of us just talking about videos and things that we experienced and created, just leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and let us know how you like this, and if you want to see maybe something like this as a format on a weekly or monthly basis or whatever.
Yeah, like, do you guys like us sitting here showing you stuff? Leave us a comment. Sasha will do some more.
Showing you some
slow-
amazing technology firsthand.
Wait, what can I find? Oh, I have a Rubik's Cube. I can find a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. we have it all here.
We have quite
Seriously,
some stuff.
we could constantly
We have quite
do.
some stuff.
Look at this. I just found it again.
Oh, remember when everyone made fun of the Streak?
Everyone
was
made
like,
fun out of the Streak. 5-inch.
It looks enormous. Look at my tiny flip phone with its 1.4-inch display.
Yeah. So the Dell Streak was a little bit of a game changer.
Yeah.
It was like a mini tablet, right? Running Android. And I just love this one.
What?
The camera was terrible.
What was the connector? Was it a micro USB or was it?
No,
it's
it's just we need to find it.
Yeah.
You know, we have a problem with finding the right connectors, and I can show you
Cables.
why.
Cables, no, I've hidden them. Oh, don't make a mess. We'll never be able to get it back in.
We love cables. We really love them. Trust me. And yeah.
Love them so much.
We have stuff here. We could even just talk about old systems,
Yeah.
new systems, show you old stuff, play around with it again. I actually recently recharged my
HP touchpad. You did
the
that
HP
one.
touchpad running on WebOS. We still have BlackBerry playbooks over here. Oh my God! Look, we're just talking about BlackBerry.
Well, we still have
I'm super excited right
the
now.
BlackBerry
as you can tell.
Porsche, that brand, and we haven't even taken that out of the box, right? So actually, this could if we started doing this regularly for you guys, we might actually just start to like take stuff out of boxes.
Look at this.
Just random shit out of boxes for you all the time. I mean, part of the problem with making all of these videos is that it takes us time, right? If we want to make like a high quality video for you, it doesn't exactly happen in like 5 minutes, and we have like other stuff to do, like clean the office.
Yeah.
Clean out, dust our gadgets. So if we started doing this more
First
for
Kindle.
you, the first Kindle,
Kindle
we
Fire.
could actually like take these things out of the boxes and answer your questions live. Definitely. So where were we going with this live stream, anyways?
I don't know. What's baking?
Nothing. I think we're just done. I mean, it's been.
You went to NVIDIA today.
Oh yes, that's what was cooking. Yeah. So I went to NVIDIA today, and so the thing is, at MWC, I got to try on the HTC Vive, right? And this had like 36 sensors, and it was like an Oculus Rift on steroids, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually the Rift; it was something else because it had extra sensors put into it. And the way that the Vive works is it actually has a sensor array that maps the room. So when you get close to the walls, a grid will pop up, right? So the first thing that happens is a white grid shows up, and it's like you're on the holodeck. Now, we have been having a discussion about the potential of virtual reality, and the Vive is actually one of the first products that has gotten us re-excited about virtual reality. So now he stopped by the NVIDIA booth yesterday, and then I stopped by today. So I wanted to bring it up again because I hadn't tried it, so I wasn't prepared to kind of talk to you about it. But the thing is, the thing about it is it wasn't as good as the Vive because they didn't go all in, right? They gave you a small sensor. It wasn't a Kinect, but it was something else where you had a small square, so you could move around in it. But I think they picked a crap demo. I mean, it was an amazing demo when I screamed, right? So there's a robot.
Right? Oh, this kind of.
Yeah, and the car flipping above you, and you see the guy in the car.
Yeah.
So many things about it.
That was amazing.
No, amazing. But because I've been testing so much VR, I turned around, right, to like check to see the angles and stuff.
Yeah.
And because the demo is continuously moving forward and I'm not moving, I felt sick.
Okay, gotcha.
Right,
Gotcha.
so like they half went all in, and then to be honest with you, NVIDIA didn't revolutionize anything. All they did was make the graphics card capable, or make the Rift capable of achieving higher frame rates.
I mean, this is what's running on a GTX 980 Ti.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but Oculus is saying that the overall system means the glasses and your PC will be about $1,500 US. And they said that the minimum specs, or the specs that can run everything, will be a GTX 970. From what I saw at the NVIDIA virtual VR experience, good luck to do this on a GTX 970. That's so not gonna happen.
Seriously. It's so not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I actually did
If
the
you
demo.
want to play Pong on it, go for it.
Yeah. So I actually did the demo 3 times.
Yeah.
Because I made a video, right, where I'm filming myself. And then the first time I went, so I did it the first time. I didn't film myself. And I forgot to hit record, so I had to do it again.
Yeah.
So I really stressed the system. I crouched down to see if the distance visually stayed the same with the car when it was going, and it did, right? So it stayed high. It looked higher.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But when I went closer to the cars and was trying to pass through stuff to see how it would react, it glitched, right? So suddenly the car that I was leaning into was 6 feet away, right? Or the rock that I got too close to was suddenly flat and not 3D. Right, so I mean, to go into a lower graphics card with somebody who's actually trying to interact with it and move was impossible. If you're standing there, maybe.
It will give you a lot of limitations, and it will give developers a lot of limitations.
Yeah.
I don't even